Chapter 318. Yan Qingyi also raised her head to look. The eyes of the three women flashed with a bright light, because they were all too beautiful, adding a touch of brilliance to the room. What brings the two of you to the Li Palace? Li Xiaotian did not stand on ceremony with the other party, sitting in the main seat, and asked straightforwardly. Yan Qingyi and Marshall looked at each other at the same time. Yan Qingyi gestured with her hand, "You first." She did not know the identity of the other party, but it was clear that they were not ordinary people. Marshall also did not stand on ceremony and asked, "Does your Li Palace know what happened in the valley to the west?" Li Xiaoyan faintly smiled. The other party actually came for that matter, so he nodded. "Of course we know. Such a big matter, how could my Li Palace not know about it?" "It's good that you know. Then do you know the whereabouts of the demon god?" Marshall said that the Li Palace was indeed worthy of its reputation. In this world there were very few people who knew about the valley, but he did not expect the Li Palace to also know about it. Li Xiaotian raised his eyebrows, subconsciously thinking about the murder case he saw just now. Could it be that it was done by the demon god? "There are a few clues." "There are clues?" Marshall was shocked. She did not expect the other party to have clues. The Marshall sect had sent people to investigate for so long, but to no avail. The Li Palace's ability to gather information was indeed unparalleled in the world. "Naturally you came for this matter?" Li Xiaotian asked. Marshall nodded, and said with a murderous look, "I need to know the whereabouts of the demon god. This kind of cultivator must be eliminated." "Cultivator?" Yan Qingyi's heart skipped a beat. Although she was not a warrior, she knew a lot about the world, especially about cultivators. It was just that she had never seen them before, so she couldn't help but be curious. Li Xiaotian smiled and said, "If you want to know information, then you must exchange information of equal value. This is the rule of the Li Palace." Marshall was already prepared. Like magic, an envelope appeared in her hand, and with a casual throw, the envelope flew like a hidden weapon towards Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian stretched out his hand to take the letter, opened it and took a look, then said, "I didn't expect your martial organization to have such information." Obviously, Li Xiaotian was very satisfied with this information. In truth, the Li Palace had many methods to gather information, but one of the most praiseworthy methods was that it did not sell information, but rather exchanged information for equal value. Thus, the Li Palace was able to gather more and more information. "Can you tell me now?" "Of course. Wait a moment, I'll send someone to get it." Li Xiaotian gestured to one of his subordinates, who immediately turned and left. Li Xiaotian's gaze then turned to Yan Qingyi and said, "Yan Qingyi, what business does the Yan family have with you?" Yan Qingyi nodded in greeting to Li Xiaolan and said neither too quickly nor too slowly, "My father asked me to send his regards to the palace master." Li Xiaotian nodded his head lightly. "Thank you, Yan family patriarch. Asgard master is currently in closed-door cultivation. I appreciate your kindness. This is the main reason why I'm here." "Who exactly is the mysterious expert that appeared at my father's birthday banquet?" Yan Qingyi asked. Li Xiaotian's brows immediately furrowed. Yan Qingyi and Wu both felt surprised at the same time. Judging from Li Xiaotian's expression, it seemed that the Li Palace was also rather puzzled about this matter. Wu could not help but be curious. When she heard that the other party's surname was Yan, she had already guessed that she was a member of the Yan family in the capital. Someone who could make the Yan family so confused and valued was definitely not an ordinary person. Wu's curiosity was piqued, and he really wanted to know what was going on. That person seemed to have appeared out of thin air. There has never been any information about him before. Li Xiaotian said in a deep voice. This was also a big problem that had been troubling the Li Palace recently. A mysterious expert that had never appeared before had actually caused a ruckus at Yan Potion's birthday banquet. There were no clues as to who this person was. Oh no, there was one clue, and that was that this person was Tang Zheng's master. Li Xiaotian thought about the process of getting to know Tang Zheng, and Tang Zheng's little-known identity as a cultivator, and his heart skipped a beat. Since this person was Tang Zheng's master, then he must be a cultivator. Li Xiaotian subconsciously glanced at Wu Zong. The martial sect had always been hunting cultivators. If he told her about Tang Zheng's identity, would she immediately chase after Tang Zheng? No, Tang Zheng's identity cannot be exposed for the time being. This person has many secrets on him, and the key is that the heaven-shocking bow must have been hidden by him. Although I don't know how he hid it back then, but he must have brought it out of the prehistoric heavenly tomb. I must find him and take back the heaven-shocking bow. To dare snatch the treasure from the hands of my Li Palace's holy maiden, I will definitely not let you off so easily. Then does the Li Palace know anything about Tang Zheng? After all, he is Tang Zheng's master. Yan Qingyi took a step back and prepared to break through from Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng? Wu suddenly frowned and asked in surprise. You know Tang Zheng too? Yan Qingyi was shocked. Wu asked, is the Tang Zheng you're talking about a student of Yanqing University? Yan Qingyi was even more surprised and nodded. He is indeed a new student of Yanqing University. You said he's a warrior. And he even has a very powerful and mysterious master? Back then, during the military training, Tang Zheng had always concealed his identity as a cultivator and a martial artist. Even if he killed someone, he did not reveal his identity, which meant that he had escaped Wu's fiery eyes. Actually, she had once suspected Tang Zheng's skills, but the other party did not have the slightest bit of inner strength fluctuations, which was why she had dispelled this guess. She didn't expect that she had really misjudged him. The other party was actually a hidden expert, which made her very angry. Yan Qingyi confirmed, Tang Zheng is indeed a martial artist, at least in the post-celestial stage, and his master is an expert in the Grandmaster stage. Wu exclaimed, Grandmaster stage? In this world, the Grandmaster stage was already a top expert. This was a mysterious expert that had never been heard of before. Even Wu, who had always been interested in cultivators, couldn't help but be curious. Does your Li Palace really not know about Tang Zheng and his master? Wu went straight to the point and asked. Yan Qingyi was greatly astonished, not knowing why the other party was so interested in Tang Zheng. She thought that this young man was not simple, to actually be able to stir up the nerves of so many large powers. Li Xiaotian thought to himself, of course I know some information about them, but I don't plan on telling you. Their cultivator identities are only known to me in the entire Li Palace, so how could I easily tell you? I really don't know. Yan Qingyi and Wu were greatly disappointed. No matter what his background is, if he dares to deceive me, I will definitely find him and investigate him thoroughly. Wu said resolutely. Yan Qingyi muttered, Tang Zheng is the future son-in-law of the Ye family. If you touch him, be careful of the Ye family's counterattack. Wu disdainfully said, Ye family? If you want to go against the martial organization, you are courting death. You are from the martial organization? Yan Qingyi raised her eyebrows, finally a little surprised. The other party was actually a famous martial organization. Just what kind of background did this Tang Zheng have to actually be related to the martial organization? Even though Yan Qingyi was extremely intelligent, she was still unable to guess the whole story. Wu Sheng arrogantly glanced at Yan Qingyi, his brows revealing a sense of pride. Seeing that Wu was so interested in Tang Zheng, Li Xiaoyan had an idea and said, Wu, the person you are looking for is most likely in the capital, and Tang Zheng is also in the capital. You can go find him while you are at it. You said the demon god is in the capital? Wu asked in astonishment. At this time, a woman walked in with a document bag in her hand. Li Xiaotian indicated for her to hand it over to Wu and said, the specific information is inside, you will know once you take a look. Wu frowned and said, this is indeed the method of a cultivator, especially the demon clan. It seems that the demon god who escaped is really in the capital, then I must go and kill him this time. Li Xiaotian smiled and said, then I wish you victory, but I must remind you that when the demon god descended, you were unable to stop him, and I'm afraid you might not be able to succeed now. Wu coldly snorted and said, then you just wait and see. With that he stood up and bid farewell, quickly leaving the Li Palace. Yan Qingyi looked at Wu's disappearing figure, her mood fluctuating. Although she did not obtain any information about the mysterious expert during this trip to the Li Palace, she accidentally found out about other things. The demon clan has actually come to this world. We must go back and tell father as soon as possible. Seeing that Yan Qingyi was in a daze, Li Xiaonan asked, I wonder if you have anything else to say? Yan Qingyi also stood up and said, Thank you, holy maiden, I have nothing else to do, so I will take my leave first. Li Xiaotian nodded her head. Seeing that Yan Qingyi had left, she could not help but mutter to herself. The capital has always been the place where all the powers converge, and this time, the demon clan, the martial sect, and the mysterious cultivator Tangjing will all gather here at the same time. It will definitely be very exciting. How could I miss such a good show? Furthermore, I have already lured Wu to Tangjing. I wonder how Tangjing will deal with it. Can I fish in troubled waters and find the whereabouts of the heaven-shocking bow? The information I found about the heaven-shocking bow by chance only said that it was a divine bow with extraordinary power, but I don't know what kind of magical effects it has. If I can take back this divine bow and study it carefully, my fighting strength can also increase by leaps and bounds. Right? We absolutely cannot let go of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Men! Li Xiaotian shouted in a deep voice. Holy Maiden, what orders do you have? I will be leaving for a period of time. All of you must properly take care of the matters of the Li Palace. If there is anything important, you must inform me immediately. Li Xiaotian instructed. His subordinate turned pale with fright and advised, Holy Maiden, before Asgard Mistress went into seclusion, she told you that you must stay in the palace to take care of matters and cannot leave. Li Xiaotian's face darkened and said, I am the Holy Maiden, don't tell me you want to stop me? This subordinate does not dare. If you don't dare, then listen obediently. I have an important matter to attend to this time. If anyone dares to secretly tell Asgard Mistress, I will definitely not forgive her. Li Xiaoan said sternly with a murderous aura. Yes, Holy Maiden, this subordinate does not dare. The corner of Li Xiaoyan's mouth hooked up into a smile, and he quickly left the Li Palace. Target, Beijing. Chapter 319. As Tang Zheng walked around the campus, from time to time, there would be people pointing at him. After all, the confrontation with the police had caused quite a stir. Tang Zheng acted as if he did not see it. His focus was on the demon god. Although the demon god had escaped last night, would he still return to school? In addition, Ding Xiaowan was already out of danger, but she was still unconscious. This matter did not cause a huge uproar under the deliberate concealment of the school. However, the number of security guards patrolling the campus had obviously increased by quite a bit. 3. Don't frown. We're going to participate in the club recruitment. I heard that every time the club recruits, there are quite a few beautiful girls. Sinosaurus said with a wink. Second bro, you have a lot of tricks up your sleeves. Don't you already have Lu Xian? Zhou Yin joked. Lu Xian was the result of his friendship with Yi Dingdang in the dormitory. Dou Long took a fancy to Lu Xian and chatted happily with her. During the National Day, he even took her to see a movie. Dou Long chuckled. Didn't I just come into contact with her? We haven't even started yet. Furthermore, don't you see that Sin already has Yi Dingdang? That day, he even sat on that beautiful woman's sports car. Zhou Yen laughed out loud. Second bro, don't even think about competing with third bro. Am I as romantic and elegant as third bro? I think I'm more handsome than 3. I shouldn't be able to compare to him. Sinosaurus boasted shamelessly. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said, Hey, you guys, don't mix me in. I'm a very pure person. The three of them revealed looks of disdain at the same time. Wang Shiji said, 3, I think you are the most romantic in our dorm. Last time, we heard from Feng Yong that you have a girlfriend? Tang Zheng laughed embarrassedly. What do you mean by another girlfriend? I only have one in the first place. 3. Look, even boss can't stand it anymore. With a great beauty like Yi Dingdang, you actually have a foot in 2 boats. Zhou Yin said, What do you mean by unkind? This is the role model that we should learn from. Third brother, I support you. No man is a man without romance. Sinosaurus shook his head and said. Wang Shiji chuckled. Lao San, Lu Xian is coming over. Can you repeat what you just said in front of her? Sinosaurus exclaimed and immediately turned around. Sure enough, The four girls from Yi Dingdong's dormitory were slowly walking over. "Don't talk nonsense and ruin my image," Sinosaurus said seriously. Haha. Tang Zheng and the other two couldn't help but burst into laughter. "Yo, what made you laugh so happily?" Li Fangfei smiled at Zhou Yen and asked curiously. "Yeah, let's share it. It's better to share it with everyone than to share it alone," Hao Dan said as he rolled his big eyes. Tang Jing glanced at Hao Dan. This girl was indeed very cute. No wonder Feng Yong was so infatuated with her. Feng Yong had brought her around the entire capital in the past few days, and Feng Yong had vowed that he would take her down soon. As for Li Fangfei and Zhou Yen, it seemed that both sides were maintaining a lukewarm state. Li Fangfei had some intentions of taking the initiative, but Zhou Yen had been trying his best to keep his distance. Li Fangfei has good eyes to actually take a fancy to OL4. This OL4's family is definitely not as simple as it seems on the surface. If Li Fangfei really takes OL4 down, it will definitely be a profitable investment. Tangjing said, "Nothing special, just a joke." "Oh right, what club do you want to join?" Sinosaurus changed the topic without leaving a trace. "Let's take a look first. Let's see if there's anything interesting." There were really a lot of clubs in the university, and this small field was filled with advertisements for recruitment, causing people to be dazzled. The various clubs had even taken out their special skills and kept handing out flyers, and there were even people shouting loudly, as if it was a lively market. "Oh right, I remember that you guys are all outstanding people in the military training, so your physical fitness must be very good. Isn't there a martial arts club over there? Aren't you guys going to participate?" Lu Xian pointed at a billboard and said. On the billboard, there were two people fighting. Their movements were extremely dazzling, and the words, Bushido Club, were impressively written in front of them. There's actually a martial arts club. Not bad, not bad. Sinosaurus was very interested. Let's go take a look and see if there's any real martial arts. Several people walked over and found that there were already a lot of people in front of the club. Many people were filling in the registration information, both men and women. They only heard a few girls chattering. The Bushido Club is very powerful. A few years ago, wasn't there an ancient martial arts club? They were all defeated by this Bushido Club, and finally were forced to disband and disappear. Yes, that ancient martial arts club is just a show, just like the martial arts shown on TV, it's all fake. The people like to brag, this Bushido is the real thing. It is said that the club's president is the direct disciple of a Bushido master from the island nation and will personally teach judo, karate, kendo, aikido, these real martial arts. Wow, then if I join the club, won't I be a master in the future? Quickly fill in the form to sign up. Hearing these discussions, Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang frowned at the same time. The dignified Chinese martial arts were actually called flowery and impractical by these people, while the island nation's Japanese martial arts were praised so highly. Tang Zheng couldn't help but remember the group of Japanese he met in the 10,000 mountains. They traveled thousands of miles just to snatch the Beast King's blood essence, and at the same time, their so-called Bushido was actually so popular in the university campus, which made Tang Zheng very angry. Is this Bushido really that powerful? Hao Dan curiously stretched her neck, only to see that there was a specially erected screen in the recruitment area. On it was the scene of Bushido fighting with people. It was indeed very dazzling, but in front of experts like Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang, it was clumsy and laughable. If it's really that powerful, then shouldn't we go and learn some self-defense techniques as well? Li Fangfei said. Sinosaurus curled his lips and said indignantly, "What's so good about the Japanese's Bushido? We won't participate in such a liar." Zhou Yen nodded his head and said, "Our country's martial arts are definitely not flowery and impractical. It's just that there is too little publicity. Furthermore, many of our countrymen think that the moon of a foreign country is round and wantonly belittle their own country's martial arts. Isn't this just worshipping foreign things?" Wang Shiji said. Hearing this, the few students in front all turned their heads and angrily rebuked. "If you don't understand, then don't speak nonsense. You only know how to show off your mouth." "What did you say?" Sinosaurus flew into a rage. Worshipping foreign things is talking about you people. What's so great about this Japanese Bushido? If you have the guts, then come out and fight me one-on-one. Let's see whose fist is harder. Humph, are you looking down on our Bushido so you want to challenge us? An angry voice sounded. The crowd parted and a person walked out. This person was very young and could not hide the pride between his eyebrows. Wow, this is President Jiang Chuan. He actually came this time. Wow, he's really handsome and stylish. A girl exclaimed like a love-struck fool. Jiang Chuan Yuanya. Last year, he was the one who defeated the ancient martial arts society and forced them to disband the society. Wow, so powerful. It must be super safe to have a boyfriend like this. Hey, are you still Huaxia people? So worshipping foreign things. Sinosaurus roared with righteous indignation. The girls rolled their eyes and snorted, idiot, let's see how he jumps after being beaten into a pig's head by President Jiang Chuan. Jiang Chuan Yunya walked straight in front of them and looked at Sinosaurus arrogantly, saying, do you want to challenge our Bushido society? So what if it's a challenge? I'm going to beat you into a pig's head and send you back to your hometown. Sinosaurus raised his head and said, hee hee, you overestimate yourself. In that case, I'll let you see the true power of the Bushido society. It'll also be a free advertisement for our society. Jiang Chuan Yuanya said contemptuously. A few people immediately stood up behind him and said aggressively, President, leave this person to us. How dare he insult the Bushido society? I'll beat him until he's looking for his teeth on the ground. Okay, you've been studying in the society for more than a year. It's time to test the results of your studies. Jiang Chuan Yunya nodded and said with relief. These people aren't Japanese? Tang Jing said in a low voice. Yi Dingdang shook her head. No, they look like senior students from Huaxia. This Jiang Chuan Yunya seems to be an international student from an island nation. An international student dares to be so arrogant in our country. Does he really think that there's no one in the great Huaxia? Tang Jing said angrily. It's just that there are really too few martial artists among the ordinary people now. Island Nation promotes Bushido. Bushido has a high status in their country, unlike our country's awkward situation. Yi Dingdang was born in a martial arts family and knew a thing or two. Tang Jing snorted coldly in dissatisfaction. This was all because of the country's strategic failure. Sinosaurus, don't try to be brave. They really seem to know martial arts. Lu Xian advised worriedly. When Sinosaurus heard this, it was even more impossible to retreat. Instead, he stepped forward and said, don't worry, today I'm going to teach this group of people who worship foreign things a lesson. Zhou Yan glanced at Tang Jing and said, Lao Sen, Lao Air, is this okay? Don't worry, Lao Air is strong and strong. Besides, during military training, Lao Sen's military boxing is also good. These people may not be able to hurt him. Tang Jing said. Zhou Yan breathed a sigh of relief. He had already known that Tang Jing's skills were not simple. With him holding the fort, at least Sinosaurus would not be at a disadvantage. Now, the mentality of the people really needs a wake-up call. Lao Air can be considered to have helped everyone vent their anger this time. Wang Shiji said. They think that there's no one in Huaxia? How dare they be clowns? Today, I want to see how these clowns are going to jump around. Tang Jing muttered to himself in disdain. Yi Dingdang glanced at him and understood that today's recruitment of new members would probably be beyond the expectations of many people. After hearing that someone had challenged the Bushido Society, a lot of people gathered in a short while, discussing and watching the show. Chapter 320. Kid, don't say we're bullying you. Let's fight one-on-one. Let's fight one-on-one, a member of the Bushido Society said arrogantly. Sinosaurus snorted and said, let's fight. Why do you have so much nonsense to say? Then he threw a punch at the opponent. This was the simplest move in military boxing, but it was very pure without any fancy moves. Although Sinosaurus was not a martial artist, his physical fitness was very good. His punch was not weak. The opponent twisted his neck and dodged the punch. Then he punched Sinosaurus in the stomach. Sinosaurus could not dodge in time and took the punch. He groaned but did not retreat. Instead, a strange smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He hugged the opponent's waist and used his strength. With a whoosh, the opponent flew out and hit the TV screen. With a crash, a big hole was smashed in the screen. Suddenly, there were exclamations everywhere. Many people looked at Sinosaurus in disbelief. This kid was tall and strong. He was indeed powerful. Second brother, you're amazing. Sinosaurus gave Sinosaurus a thumbs up. Sinosaurus smiled proudly and glanced at Lu Xian as if he was showing off. Lu Xian had been nervously clenching her fists. Now, she finally breathed a sigh of relief. Seeing Sinosaurus looking at her, she could not help but blush. Don't brag here if you lose. What Bushido? It's all bullshit, Sinosaurus spat and said disdainfully. Jiangchuan Yuanya's face instantly darkened. He looked at the member who fell and strode towards Sinosaurus and said, if that's the case, then compete with me. Before he finished speaking, Jiangchuan Yuanya rushed towards Sinosaurus. Sinosaurus hurriedly threw a punch. Their fists collided. Sinosaurus quickly retreated, but Jiangchuan Yuanya was faster. He flew up like a shadow and kicked Sinosaurus in the chest. Bang! With a muffled sound, Sinosaurus was sent flying as if he had been hit by a heavy hammer. Lu Xian screamed and hurriedly rushed forward to catch Sinosaurus, but Tang Zheng was faster than her and caught Sinosaurus in a flash. At this moment, Jiangchuan Yuanya chased after him like a maggot in a tarsal bone. He raised his leg and kicked straight at Tang Zheng's head. This kick was so powerful that it could break Tang Zheng's neck. Cries of alarm rang out from the crowd. Everyone stared at this scene with their mouths agape. Many people were so scared that they closed their eyes. The eyes of the female students who had been smitten earlier lit up as they shouted, President Jiang Chuan, you can do it. Jiangchuan Yuanya had no intention of showing any mercy. This person dared to provoke the Bushido Club, so he had to beat him down. He would never allow anyone to provoke him. Murderous intent flashed in his eyes. Just as he was about to kick Tang Zheng, a person appeared in front of Tang Zheng. It was a beautiful woman, Yi Dingdang. When Jiangchuan Yuanya saw Yi Dingdang clearly, his pupils constricted. He exclaimed to himself, a martial artist. This person is actually a martial artist. Earlier, Yi Dingdang was not very eye-catching in the crowd, so Jiangchuan Yuanya ignored her. But at this critical moment, it was already too late for him to retreat. Instead, he added a bit more strength into his leg. Yi Dingdang's eyes seemed as though they were about to spit fire. So, she also sent out a kick. Her legs were originally long and slender, so with this kick, it was practically a split, incomparably perfect. Bang! Both of them were kicked. Yi Dingdang only took a small step back, but Jiangchuan Yuanya actually flew backward. He staggered a few steps before stopping. Everyone's eyeballs almost fell out. This beauty was so powerful that she could take on Jiangchuan Yuanya head-on. The smitten girl was dumbfounded. It was as if someone was strangling her. Sinosaurus, how are you? Lu Xian held Sinosaurus's hand and asked with concern. Sinosaurus's face was pale just now. Now that he had recovered, he took a deep breath and said, I'm fine. You call that fine? You flew from so far away. If Tang Zheng hadn't caught you, you would have fallen and gotten into trouble, Lu Xian complained, but the concern in her words was obvious. He's fine. He'll be fine after some rest, Tang Zheng said in a low voice. In fact, the kick that Sinosaurus took was not simple. There was a blood clot in his chest. Fortunately, Tang Zheng discovered it in time and used his energy to dissolve it. Otherwise, Sinosaurus would definitely have an incurable illness in the long run. Tang Zheng stood up immediately and stared at Jiangchuan Yuanya. This person was a martial artist, but he was so ruthless towards ordinary people that he caught Tang Zheng off guard. He had no time to block the blow for Sinosaurus. Didn't you say that you looked down on Hua Xia's martial arts? Then I'll open your eyes today, Yi Dingdang said loudly. Jiangchuan Yuanya said in a low voice. Such petty tricks. You want to be mentioned in the same breath as my great Bushido? But you guys let a woman do it and hide behind her. You guys are really good. Jiangchuan Yuanya could tell that Yi Dingdang was not an ordinary person. He was not completely confident in fighting with her, so he deliberately provoked her. This girl was clearly the only martial artist among these people. As long as he avoided her, the others were nothing to be afraid of. Martial arts doesn't discriminate between men and women. I think you're afraid of me, so you don't dare to fight with me. Yi Dingdang was also a smart person. She immediately saw through the other party's sinister intentions. Of course, she could take advantage of the situation and let Tang Zheng fight, but facing this hateful Jiangchuan Yuanye, she wanted to fight herself. Tang Zheng did not take the opportunity to snatch Yi Dingdang. Instead, he quietly helped Sinosaurus up, as if he was at ease to hide behind Yi Dingdang. This made the few infatuated girls despise him. They mocked, "Yo, this kind of man is really spineless. He actually hides behind a woman. One look and you can tell he's a good-for-nothing." Yes, how can this kind of trash be compared to President Jiang Chuan? He's a disgrace to Yen University. Zhou Yan and the others were indignant. They shouted, "What nonsense are you talking about? He, hiding behind a woman and still have the nerve to yell at us. I've really learned something," the infatuated girl mocked. Tang Jing shook his head at Zhou Yan and said, "There's no need to waste your breath on people who can't distinguish right from wrong and worship foreign things. That's simply an insult to your intelligence." Seeing Tang Zheng's nonchalant look, Zhou Yang could not help but sigh. "Third brother, I just can't stand people like this." Yi Dingdang said, "I can't stand it either. Since they said this Jiangchuan Yuanye is so powerful, then I'll defeat him and let them see what kind of person he is." "Dingdang, are you his match? Why don't we let Tang Jing go?" Li Fangfei and the others suggested worriedly. They had never seen Yi Dingdang fight, but they had seen Tang Zheng's clean moves in the private restaurant. Yi Dingdang smirked confidently and said, "No need, just watch." She strode towards Jiangchuan Yuanye. Seeing that his trick did not work and that he had to face Yi Dingdang, Jiangchuan Yuanye was a little nervous. However, he quickly hid these thoughts and said with a fierce look in his eyes, "Fists and feet have no eyes. If I hurt you later, I won't be responsible." If you have the ability to hurt me, then it's my bad luck. I definitely won't find trouble with you, but I doubt if you have that ability," Yi Dingdang said disdainfully. "Similarly, if I hurt you, then you'll have to admit that you're unlucky." "Okay, then let's see who's stronger. Is this woman stupid? How can she be President Jiangchuan's match?" The infatuated girls began to chatter again. "Yes, this kind of woman does whatever she wants just because she's pretty. I've been sick of it for a long time. President Jiangchuan, don't be gentle with her." Some of the surrounding boys could not stand it anymore, especially when they saw how beautiful Yi Dingdang was. They retorted loudly, "What's the point of bullying a woman? If you have the guts, come at us." "Yes, this is Huaxia. When did it become the turn of an island nation to show off here? Let's go together. I don't believe that we can't beat this *T president." The infatuated girls shouted excitedly, "See, this group of people only know how to jeer. They even want to attack President Jiangchuan together. How ungentlemanly. It's embarrassing to be in the same school as this kind of person." Their words undoubtedly ignited the powder keg. One of them roared, "Are you still Huaxia people? Why are you talking to an island nation person?" "We're on the side of reason, not family," the infatuated girl retorted. "Don't pay attention to this kind of woman who worships foreign things. She's simply unreasonable." Seeing that the crowd was discussing animatedly, Yi Dingdang cupped her hands towards the crowd and said heroically, "Thank you for your good intentions. An outsider dares to look down on our country. Then I will teach him a lesson today and let him know that our Huaxia is not something that a small barbarian country can provoke and insult. Today, I ask everyone to be my witness." "Good, she's a real heroine. Those clowns aren't even fit to carry her shoes." When the infatuated girls heard this, their faces flushed red. They glared hatefully at Yi Dingdang, thinking that when you lose, we'll humiliate you. "Hey, isn't this the girl who gave the speech during the military training?" A sharp-eyed person recognized Yi Dingdang. "Yes, that's her. I was wondering why she looked so familiar. I didn't recognize her without her military uniform. She's even prettier without her military uniform." She went to the army to participate in the military training. She must have learned a lot. This little Japanese guy might not be her opponent. Beauty, do your best. We support you. The crowd was excited and cheers were endless. More and more people gathered. Even the members of the other clubs who were in charge of recruiting gathered around, looking forward to this battle. Yi Dingdang and Jiangchuan Yuanye stood face to face. Suddenly, Jiangchuan Yuanye leaped and sent a flying kick towards Yi Dingdang. There was even the sound of air being torn apart. This move was incomparably beautiful and caused the crowd to exclaim. Yi Dingdang struck out with her palm. This palm was soft as if it had no strength at all. Immediately, the crowd's hearts clenched. However, Yi Dingdang was full of confidence. This was because this move was from the Jade Girl Heart Sutra. The seemingly weak move suddenly became abnormally strong when it was close to the target. Chapter 321. However, ordinary people did not realize the power of this palm. Seeing that Jiangchuan Yuanye's ferocious kick was about to hit Yi Dingdang's palm, many people's hearts involuntarily jumped to their throats. Everyone's gent was a patriotic pine. Bang! With a muffled sound, Yi Dingdang's arm shook, and Jiangchuan Yuanye felt a piercing pain in his leg, which made his expression somewhat ferocious. However, he gritted his teeth and persevered. His other leg also kicked up. His body was in mid-air, and he executed a chain kick. The sky was filled with leg shadows. Yi Dingdang's palms were like the wind. Every palm seemed weak and powerless, but it perfectly blocked the opponent's chain kick. This series of battles was unusually fierce. Even ordinary people could see the danger in it. However, seeing that Yi Dingdang was not at a disadvantage, everyone knew that she was also an expert. But not only was she beautiful, but she was also an expert. Immediately, those who supported her seemed to have been injected with chicken blood as they cheered excitedly. Even Yi Dingdang's 3 roommates were in disbelief. They had been together for more than a month, but they did not realize that she was an expert. After a fierce battle, both of them understood that they had met a real opponent. This Jiangchuan Yuanye was not an embroidered pillow, but a real martial artist. Like Yi Dingdang, he was a first-grade acquired stage. For him to have such a cultivation at this age, it meant that the rumors were not false. He must have had the guidance of a master to have such a cultivation. But so what? Yi Dingdang was not afraid at all. Instead, her fighting spirit was high. Every move she made, her attacks became fiercer and fiercer. Her valiant and heroic posture made people's hearts surge. Many people excitedly discussed, "This is a real goddess. I've decided that Yi Dingdang will be my goddess from now on. In the future, I will look for a wife according to her standards." TSK, then you can only be a bachelor for the rest of your life. Yes, she's a goddess. What is a goddess? She's not something that ordinary people can compare to. If you want to find a goddess like her, what else can you do but be a bachelor? When those love-struck girls heard these words, they were very indignant. They muttered, "What goddess? She's crazy. Let's see how arrogant she can be after she gets beaten down by President Jiang Chuan." The two of them had already exchanged dozens of blows. Yi Dingdang had complete control of the rhythm. Although the two of them had the same cultivation, Yi Dingdang's Jade Women's Heart Sutra was clearly superior. Jiangchuan Yuanye gradually lost confidence. If this continued, he would be defeated, and the great situation he had worked so hard to build would be destroyed. No, Master has high hopes for me and has given me such an important mission. I've already come this far, so how can I lose? I must win. Where did this girl come from? She was so powerful. In the past 2 years, Yenqing University didn't have a real martial artist. They were all fancy but impractical. I easily destroyed that ancient martial arts society and gathered such a large group of Huaxia people who are loyal to the island nation. I can't let all of this go to waste. Yes, they only have this girl who's powerful. As long as I defeat her, no one will dare to challenge me in the future. Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes revealed a sinister look. He suddenly stared at Yi Dingdang's chest and thought of a plan. He secretly sneered, "I've finally found a way to defeat you." Jiang Chuan Yuanya took a few steps back and retreated to the wall. The students watching the two of them retreated. Seeing that Jiang Chuan Yuanya was forced into a corner, many people cheered excitedly. Yi Dingdang will win, Yi Dingdang will win. Yi Dingdang smiled proudly and said in a low voice, "Let's see what other tricks you have up your sleeve." She attacked, and Jiang Chuan Yuanya hurriedly reacted as if he was caught off guard. He met it with a palm, but the other hand was hidden behind the palm in front of him. Bang! Jiang Chuan Yuanya took this attack. His palm felt like it was going to break. He retreated but was blocked by the wall. There was no way to retreat. His back slammed heavily into the wall, causing him to grimace in pain. However, his other hand that was hidden behind the wall grabbed towards Yi Dingdang's chest. Yi Dingdang had used up all her moves. Seeing that the opponent's claws were grabbing at her chest, she was furious. This must be part of the opponent's plan. It was too late for her to fight back, so the claws would definitely grab her chest. Even if she fought back and defeated the opponent later, it would be a great humiliation, and her victory would be greatly reduced. Too cunning. Yi Dingdang gritted her teeth. There was nothing she could do. She could only watch the claws come at her. All of this seemed to take a long time to describe, but it actually happened in the blink of an eye. Although many people saw through Jiang Chuan Yuanya's dirty move, they could do nothing about it. Tang Zheng's spirit shivered, and his murderous intent flared up. "Devil, don't blame me for not holding back if you dare to use dirty tricks." A strong wind blew past, blowing the hair beside Yi Dingdang's ears. Before she could react, a palm appeared in front of her and met Jiang Chuan Yuanya's claws. Bang! With a muffled sound, Jiang Chuan Yuanya bounced back violently as if he had been hit by a train. He crashed into the wall, and a human figure appeared on the wall. Dust fell bit by bit. Jiang Chuan Yuanya spat out a mouthful of blood and slid down the wall. He knelt on the ground, panting heavily. Tang Zheng casually pulled Yi Dingdang into his arms. Yi Dingdang felt the warm embrace and let down her guard. Her heart was filled with indescribable gratitude and sweetness. He had helped her out. He was indeed her hero. Every time she needed help, he would appear by her side. From ordinary Balance Mountain to that border town, and then just now, it was the same every time. He is my hero. I made the right choice. Yi Dingdang felt as if her whole body was about to melt. "Are you okay?" Tang Zheng asked with concern. Yi Dingdang shook her head. "I'm fine." "You rest first. I'll deal with him," Tang Zheng said in a low voice. Yi Dingdang naturally understood that Jiang Chuan Yuanya was no match for Tang Zheng. She nodded obediently. "This person is full of tricks. You have to be careful." Tang Zheng said disdainfully, "In the face of absolute strength, all schemes and tricks are clumsy performances. They can't even withstand a single blow." Tang Zheng's aura was like a rainbow. Many people who were silently criticizing him couldn't help but wonder if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Was this still the boy who was hiding behind a woman just now? How did his aura change so drastically in an instant? Those infatuated girls were even more stunned. Why was President Jiang Chuan, whom they admired, in such a sorry state? What happened just now? For ordinary people, Tang Zheng's movements were too fast. They didn't know what happened at all. In the blink of an eye, they found that Tang Zheng was hugging Yi Dingdang, and Jiang Chuan Yuanya was kneeling on the ground in a sorry state. However, those with discerning eyes knew that all this must have been caused by Tang Zheng. It turned out that he was the real master. He just didn't make a move just now. Once he made a move, he made a big move. It was too awesome. Many people's blood was boiling. Who said that boys had to hide behind women? Who said that there were no masters? Wasn't this the case? The great Huaxia couldn't allow a few foreigners from an island nation to show off their strength. This time, they would know their power. Good job. Many people clenched their fists and waved excitedly. Teach that island nation a good lesson. He's so despicable. He just blasphemed my goddess. It's unforgivable. Obviously, Jiang Chuan Yuanya's despicable behavior just now had already made people unhappy. Tang Zheng looked at Jiang Chuan Yuanya condescendingly, and the other party finally raised his head. He gritted his teeth, and a fierce light burst out of his eyes. He was like a hungry wolf that was about to devour someone. "So you're the master." Jiangchuan Yuanye gritted his teeth and said word by word. He had misjudged. This person clearly didn't have the slightest fluctuation of internal energy. However, the other party defeated him in one move. What did this mean? This meant that Tang Zheng was much more powerful than him. That was why he could hide his cultivation level so seamlessly in front of him. He didn't know that this was because Tang Zheng wasn't a martial artist. Of course, there wouldn't be any fluctuations of internal energy. He got up, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and said, "Who are you? You don't have to know who I am. Didn't you say that there are no real martial artists in Huaxia? I'll show you today. However, if you lose, your samurai club will be dissolved on the spot. Don't come out and embarrass yourself in the future. Go back to your island nation." Tang Zheng said firmly. Why should I listen to you?" Jiangchuan Yuanye said unhappily. "Didn't you use this method to dissolve the ancient martial arts club? I'm here to kick your ass today. Since you're not as good as others, what's the point of your club existing?" Tang Zheng said aggressively. "You don't have the final say in disbanding the club. This is a case in school. You don't have the right." The infatuated girls jumped out again and retorted. Tang Zheng narrowed his eyes slightly and turned his head to look. The infatuated girls felt as if a knife was placed on their necks. A chill rose from the soles of their feet. "What are you doing?" they asked anxiously. "If you don't know how to behave, go back to your mother's stomach. Don't come out and embarrass yourself. That's not embarrassing you, but the face of this country. You." They were so angry that they were speechless. "Just go back. Don't come out and embarrass yourself." Zhou Yan was already filled with righteous indignation and roared. Immediately, Sinosaurus, Wang Shiji, and the others also hurriedly echoed. The roars in the crowd grew louder and louder. "Go back, go back." The infatuated girls looked terrified and retreated step by step. The other party, whom they had originally ridiculed, actually had such power when united. It was an energy that made them afraid. Tang Zheng turned his head and stared at Jiangchuan Yuanye. "Whether you agree or not, this matter has been decided. As long as you lose, if you dare to use the name of the club to swindle people again, I'll beat you up every time I see you." Jiangchuan Yuanye was forced into a corner and his face was ashen. He had been in Huaxia for more than 2 years and had never met someone like Tang Zheng. Many people didn't listen to him and tried to curry favor with him when they heard that he was a foreigner. Moreover, he did have some real skills. He was really like a fish in water and was even more carefree than in his own country. But he never expected this Qin Yaojin to appear halfway. Chapter 322. Jiangchuan Yuanye had no choice but to accept the challenge. He said, "Since you want to challenge me, then of course I have to show my best. I'm best at swordsmanship, so I know how to use weapons. Everyone knows that Ghent is a patriotic pine." Tang Zheng said without fear, "Do as you wish, I don't even need a weapon to beat you until you are looking for your teeth all over the floor." Jiangchuan Yuanye snorted and returned to the shed where the club was recruiting new members. He took out a katana, held it with both hands, and stood in front of Tang Zheng. Swords have no eyes. It's not too late to admit defeat now. When the others saw that Jiangchuan Yuanye was holding a weapon while Tang Zheng was barehanded, they all felt that it was unfair. This is not fair. You're using a katana while he doesn't have any weapons. It's an unfair win. Yes, the island nation people are too despicable. Tang Zheng clasped his fist at the crowd and said, "Thank you for your concern. Today, I will beat him without weapons. Please be a witness and prove Huaxia's martial arts." Jiangchuan Yuanye snorted in disdain and roared. He held the katana tightly with both hands and slashed it with all his might. The blade brushed past Tang Zheng's cheek, and he could even feel the coldness from the blade. The others' hearts were in their throats. Li Fangfei and the others said nervously, "Can Tang Zheng win? 5 by 10. Yi Dingdang nodded firmly. "Of course, I don't doubt it." Tang Zheng dodged the attack and hit the katana with his palm. Bang! The katana flew to the side and almost fell out of Jiangchuan Yuanye's hand. Jiangchuan Yuanye's expression changed. He thought that with a weapon, he could at least be in an invincible position. He didn't expect that the opponent's strength was far beyond his imagination. However, he couldn't admit defeat just like that. He could only attack again with the katana. Island nation swordsmanship was extremely powerful, and most of them were slashing and stabbing. Many changes were also derived from this. Compared to Hua Xia's truly versatile swordsmanship, it was child's play. Tang Jing did not use the heavenly fairy sword technique. It was better to restrain himself a little in broad daylight. Therefore, when faced with Jiang Chuan Yuanye's attack, he could only use the Heaven Gathering Hand to counterattack. The Heaven's Gathering Hand was also a martial arts technique that was ever-changing. Although it was bare-handed, it did not lose out to Jiang Chuan Yuanye at all. The two of them went back and forth, their palms and blades crisscrossing, the sound of collisions never ending. Every time Tang Jing counterattacked, the angle was very clever. The place where his palm hit was always the blade, not the blade. It looked very dangerous to outsiders, but to Tang Jing it was very safe. However, with every slap, the steel katana would bend, as if it could break at any moment. Jiang Chuan Yuanye's arm began to feel numb. If he continued to be in such a passive situation, he would definitely lose. I have to fight back. A light flashed in Jiang Chuan Yuanye's eyes, and he slashed again at close range. Tang Jing did the same, taking the opponent's continuous attacks one after another. However, this time, Jiang Chuan Yuanye was holding the katana with one hand, and the other hand was hanging by his waist. No one noticed this abnormality. Suddenly, a cold light flashed, and a short katana appeared in Jiang Chuan Yuanye's empty hand. It appeared and disappeared mysteriously, stabbing toward Tang Jing's abdomen. The two of them were not far from each other, and the katana slashed again and again, firmly attracting Tang Jing's attention. Therefore, he did not notice the attack at all. By the time he realized it, it was already too late. At this time, Yiding Dang also noticed the scene. She could not help but exclaim, "Be careful!" There was a long blade above and a short blade below. Attacking from top to bottom, it was abnormally ruthless and ingenious. The corner of Jiang Chuan Yuanye's mouth curled up into a sneer as he thought to himself, "Let's see how you counterattack now. This slash will definitely injure you severely. Even if it can't kill you, it can guarantee my victory. In the future, no one in this school will dare to challenge me." Tang Jing's eyes lit up. With a low roar, the bastard Vajra art activated on its own. A faint golden luster appeared on the skin of his abdomen, but it was covered by his clothes and no one could see it. Tang Jing had already cultivated the chaotic Vajra art to the first level of the copper skin realm. Especially after he wrapped his abdomen with true qi, this area of his body became even tougher. Under everyone's watchful eyes, the clothes on Tang Jing's abdomen were pierced, and the short blade pierced into his body. Clang! A soft sound rang out. Jiang Chuan Yuanye felt as if the short blade had encountered an iron wall and could not pierce through. He turned pale with fright. What was going on? Could it be that there was a steel plate hidden under his clothes? When the others saw this scene, they thought that Tang Jing's body had been pierced through by the short blade. They all screamed, and many people couldn't bear to see this and covered their eyes. Zhou Yan and the others even rushed towards Tang Jing to help him. Yiding Dang's eyes lit up as she shouted, "Don't go up, Tang Jing is fine." She was extremely shocked in her heart. What kind of martial arts did Tang Jing cultivate? Such a fierce stab was actually unable to injure him. Could it be that he cultivates some kind of martial arts? But this kind of martial arts is extremely difficult to cultivate. Without a few decades of foundation, it is impossible to reach the realm of invulnerability. Seeing the shock in Jiang Chuan Yuanye's eyes, Tang Jing's mouth curled up into a cold smile. The chaotic Vajra art was indeed extraordinary, to be able to block such a fierce attack. Just now, he felt a wave of pain, but he was sure that the short blade did not pierce his skin, so he did not retreat. Instead, he took a step forward and released his innate qi, causing a strong rebound force to erupt from his abdomen. With a crisp sound, the short blade broke into two pieces. Jiang Chuan Yuanye lowered his head in disbelief, looking at the short blade in his hand that only had half of it left. This weapon forged from steel was actually so weak? In the past, many people had died from this move of his, but today, it had actually failed. Tang Jing took the opportunity to slap the long blade with his palm. This palm contained a terrifying amount of power, and with another gotcha sound, the long blade broke inch by inch. The entire blade turned into pieces and scattered all over the ground. Jiangchuan Yuanye was shocked and quickly retreated. Only now did he understand that he had met the strongest enemy in his life, and that he was far from being able to contend against him. He flew backwards, but Tang Jing was even faster than him. When he took a step back, Tang Jing had already taken 2 steps forward and slapped both of his palms on his chest. Bang! With a thunderous explosion, Jiangchuan Yuanye's chest caved in, and he flew towards the wall. This time, he really smashed a deep hole, and bricks fell down one by one. The crowd had forgotten to cheer, and were dumbfounded. This scene was too shocking. It turned out that Hua Xia's martial arts were so powerful. In the past, so many people thought that it was just showy and impractical. They were simply frogs at the bottom of a well, sitting in a well and looking at the sky. Yi Dingdang and the others quickly surrounded him and asked at once, "Tang Jing, are you okay?" They all looked at his abdomen, but did not see any blood. Tang Jing shook his head, indicating that he was fine. "Then is he dead?" Looking at the motionless Jiangchuan Yuanye, Zhou Yan asked. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. I won't die." Just now, Tang Jing really had the ability to kill with one blow, but with so many people watching, if he killed in broad daylight, he would definitely get into trouble. Although he had previously said that life and death were not to be discussed, Tang Jing still had some considerations in order to avoid trouble. There were many ways to kill Jiangchuan Yuanye, and there was no need to cause trouble for himself in front of so many people. Sure enough, Jiangchuan Yuanye got up in a sorry state. His body was covered in dust, and there was blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked at Tang Jing in horror and moved his lips, not knowing what to say. Tang Jing strode towards the other party, and the strong murderous intent made Jiangchuan Yuanye's heart almost stop. He held his breath and truly felt the threat of death. He believed that Tang Jing would really kill him. "What are you going to do?" Tang Jing sneered and said, "The outcome has been decided, and your Bullsh * Tea Club is disbanded. Otherwise, next time it won't be this little bit of suffering." Hatred flashed in Jiangchuan Yuanye's eyes. He wanted to say something, but in the end, under Tang Jing's knife-like gaze, he did not dare to speak. He hung his head dejectedly, like a stray dog. At this time, the crowd's cheers completely erupted, and it was earth-shattering. The few infatuated girls took the opportunity to slip away. "Let's go." Tang Jing turned around and left. When he passed by the Bushido Club's recruitment billboard, he stopped and glanced at the billboard. The others kept quiet and looked at him attentively, not knowing what he was going to do. Suddenly, Tang Jing roared, jumped, and kicked the billboard, which was specially made of wood, into pieces and scattered in all directions. Seeing this, Jiangchuan Yuanye's face turned the color of pig liver, and his eyes were about to spit fire. However, he could only watch Tang Jing leave. Jiangchuan Yuanye limped and left in a sorry state. He walked to an empty corner and lifted his clothes. The 2 palm prints on his chest were visible, and the blood had accumulated on his chest. It was a shocking sight, and even his muscles had caved in a lot. The heart-wrenching pain eroded his nerves, and he could not help but scream in a low voice. "Tang Jing, if I don't take revenge, I'm not human." A dazzling light burst out from his eyes. "Hello, master, have you arrived in the capital?" He took a deep breath, suppressed the pain, and dialed a number. "Yuanye, I just got off the plane. This time, I came to Hua Xia specifically for your martial uncle's whereabouts. Have you found out his whereabouts during this time?" "Master, I only found out that martial uncle went to the south, and then there was no news." "The south? What did he go there for?" "I don't know. Martial uncle's group is very mysterious, and I've only seen him once." "Master, I met a master today." "A master?" "Yes, I was injured by him, and even the Bushido Club couldn't continue because of him." "Baka! Bastard, don't you know the heavy responsibility of the club?" The other party roared. Jiangchuan Yuanye felt bitter. How could he not know the heavy responsibility of the club? This was a spy club that screened out people from Huaxia who were loyal to the island nation. As these people graduated from famous schools, they would have good achievements in the future, and with the secret support of the island nation, many of them would even reach a very high position, and thus gain more benefits for the island nation. Who is that master? How dare he obstruct the interests of the island nation? We must eliminate him. The other party said murderously. Chapter 323. As night fell, Tang Jing did not return to the dormitory. On his way back, he saw Jiang Chuan Yunya walking out of the school from afar. Everyone knew that Ghent was a patriotic pine. It was already dark. Jiang Chuan Yunya was injured, but he did not rest in the dormitory. Instead, he took advantage of the night to walk out of the school. This made Tang Jing feel that it was unusual. He had crossed swords with the people of the island nation a few times and knew how crazy they were. Although he had defeated Jiang Chuan Yunya, the other party might not be convinced. Since he was sneaking around, Tang Jing naturally had to follow him to see what was going on. Under the night sky, Jiang Chuan Yunya was very fast. After a simple treatment, he couldn't wait to go to the hotel to meet his master, Sawada Ichiro, to discuss how to deal with Tang Jing. He was completely unaware that there was a figure following him not far behind and following him to the 5-star hotel. Seeing Jiang Chuan Yunya sneaking into a room, Tang Jing turned around and jumped out of the window of the stairwell. Like Spider-Man, he climbed up the wall of the hotel that was dozens of meters high. After a moment, he hid outside the window of the target's room. A conversation could be heard from the room. "Master, this Tang Jing ruined our plans. We must not let him go," Jiang Chuan Yunya said through gritted teeth. "Bastard, you were actually defeated by a Huaxia person. Who is he?" "He's just a student." "Then I'll go meet him. I must get rid of him." Tang Jing laid on the wall, feeling the night breeze, and frowned. These two fellows were actually speaking the language of the island nation. Tang Jing could not understand a single word, but he seemed to have heard his own name. Even though the pronunciation was a bit strange, he was sure that the other party had mentioned him. This Jiang Chuan Yunya actually has an accomplice. Judging from their tone, they definitely don't have anything good to say about me. There's a high chance that they're planning to deal with me. I knew that the people of the island nation wouldn't let this go. Well, if that's the case, then I don't have to be polite with you. Knock knock. There was a knock on the door. A person walked in and said loudly, "Mr. Sawada Ichiro, nice to meet you. Why didn't you inform me that you were coming to Beijing? If I hadn't come to Beijing to discuss business, I wouldn't have been able to see you." Tang Jing was shocked. The person who said this was a Huaxia, but the voice was very familiar. Tang Jing seemed to have heard it somewhere before. "Young Master Long, nice to meet you. I was just about to visit you in Dianan. I didn't expect you to be in the capital," Sawada Ichiro said with a fake smile. That's just right. I'll take care of the business in Beijing these few days, and then we'll go to Dianan together. I'll do my part as a host." Tang Jing was shocked, but he also came to a realization. No wonder the voice was so familiar. The other party was the young master of the Southern Yunnan Dragon Clan, Long Tingyu. Long Tingyu is actually in contact with these devils, and from his tone, he seems to be very close and familiar with them. Fortunately, I came here with Jiang Chuan Yunya tonight, otherwise I wouldn't have known such important information. Mr. Sawada Ichiro, I'm really sorry about what happened to Wang Fuchuan last time. I didn't expect that Mu Hongyan, that bitch, would actually find out what Wang Fuchuan did. Fortunately, I took care of Wang Fuchuan, otherwise, our cooperation would have been exposed. My old man will definitely be furious if he knows about this. Actually, the Long family should have been handed over to young Master Long to take care of. It was a wrong decision to let an outsider take care of it, Sawada Ichiro said in a deep voice. Long Tingyu said hatefully, "Who said it wasn't? But my old man just believed that bitch. He said that she was some kind of business genius and handed over most of the family business to her. It really pissed me off. Young Master Long, I believe that with our cooperation, the Long family's huge business will definitely be handed over to you. I have always believed in your strength. This time, we must plan well and give that bitch a fatal blow. Don't worry, young Master Long. I will stay in Huaxia for a while. We have enough time to plan all this. I believe that we will let young Master Long get satisfied benefits. Hearing this series of dialogue, Tang Zheng's heart was in turmoil. It turned out that Wang Fuchuan, who was murdered by Xiao Xiaoling on the train, was actually Long Tingyu's subordinate. It was just that the matter was exposed, so Long Tingyu found someone to kill him. Long Tingyu is really despicable. In order to deal with Mu Hongyan, he actually joined forces with the devils and forgot the classics. Mr. Sawada Ichiro, I still have a meal. There is a great beauty waiting for me. I'll go first, Long Tingyu said. Young Master Long, please. We'll contact you later. Hearing Long Tingyu's footsteps leaving the room, Tang Zheng was hesitant. This Long Tingyu had always wanted to deal with Mu Hongyan. Did he come to the capital this time for this matter? No, for the sake of Nana, and for the sake of Mu Hongyan, I must follow Long Tingyu to see what the hell he is up to. As for these people from the island nation, they can't run away anyway, so I don't have to show up in a hurry. Tang Zheng returned to the building from the window of the stairwell and just happened to see Long Tingyu walk into the elevator. Tang Zheng hurriedly rushed over and finally found that the elevator stopped on the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor is a restaurant. Could it be that Long Tingyu's dinner is in this hotel? Tang Zheng also went down to the 3rd floor. He saw that the 3rd floor was a magnificent restaurant, but there was no trace of Long Tingyu in the hall. The other party must have gone to a private room. The waiter hurriedly came up to him and asked politely, "Sir, may I ask if you want to eat?" Tang Zheng said calmly, "Which room did young Master Long book?" The waiter immediately revealed a bright smile and said, "Sky Room 1, young Master Long just entered, I'll bring you there." Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. Obviously, Long Tingyu was a regular here, so even the waiter knew him. Indeed, every time Long Tingyu came to the capital, he would stay in this hotel, so even the waiter remembered his face. Tang Zheng waved his hand and said indifferently, "No need, I'll go by myself." He walked into the restaurant with his head held high and his chest puffed out. Soon he found Sky Room 1. It seemed to be very lively inside, and the faint sound of toasting could be heard. Tang Zheng couldn't just rush in like that. That way, he wouldn't be able to find out Long Tingyu's scheme. From time to time, there would be guests and waiters passing by, so Tang Zheng couldn't lie on top of the door. Furthermore, this private room was on the 3rd floor, so if he were to lie on top of the wall, everyone on the street would be able to see him clearly. Forget it, I'll just keep an eye on this door. He'll come out eventually, so I'd like to see who he's meeting with. Tang Zheng hid in a shadow in the distance, and just happened to be able to see the door of the private room. After waiting for 2 hours, he finally saw the door open. Long Tingyu walked out like a moon surrounded by stars, and a familiar figure jumped into Tang Zheng's eyes. How could it be her? Lu Qingmei, who left without saying goodbye. Looking at the figure in the crowd, Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. After he and Lu Qingmei had a close relationship, Lu Qingmei left without saying goodbye, as if she had disappeared from the face of the earth. Tang Zheng only knew that Lu Qingmei's father was the governor, and wanted to ask him about Lu Qingmei's whereabouts. However, after thinking about it, after what had happened between the two of them, and Lu Qingmei had taken the initiative to leave, showing her attitude. She did not want to have anything to do with Tang Zheng in the future, so as not to increase the awkwardness. Just now, Long Tingyu said that there was a great beauty waiting for him. Could it be that he was talking about Lu Qingmei? Tang Zheng had a strange feeling at the bottom of his heart. He was the first man in Lu Qingmei's body, and seeing her by Long Tingyu's side, a burst of anger rose from the bottom of his heart. No, we can't let her walk with Long Tingyu. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth and quietly followed. Qingmei, send young Master Long back to his room. A middle-aged man with a big belly said with a smile. He even smiled flatteringly at Long Tingyu. Young Master Long, rest well tonight. I'll leave this batch of orders to you. Long Tingyu waved his hand and said heroically, Don't worry, that batch of orders is a piece of cake. Lu Qing, who had been silent all this time, said, Boss, I still have to go to work tomorrow. I have to go back early. Let the others send young Master Long back to his room. What's so difficult about that? I'll give you a day off tomorrow. Be obedient and send young Master Long back to his room. They are our company's distinguished guests. The big-bellied man said unquestionably. Yes, Qingyi, just send him off. Our performance is all counting on young Master Long. How can we neglect our distinguished guests? The others quickly chimed in. Lu Qingmei nodded reluctantly. Long Tingyu and the big-bellied man looked at each other. The corners of their mouths hooked up into an imperceptible smile. Tang Zheng quietly followed Long Tingyu and Lu Qingmei up to the 18th floor. From afar he saw the two standing at the door. He heard Lu Qingmei say, "Young Master Long, your room is here. I'm going back." Long Tingyu smiled and said, "Why are you in such a hurry? You didn't drink a single drop of wine at the table. Now give me some face and accompany me in for a drink." Lu Qingmei said with a cold face, "Young Master Long, I don't know how to drink." Ever since that night, she swore never to drink again. She absolutely could not let that kind of situation happen again. Tang Zheng heard the conversation between the two from afar. His heart ached. He could already confirm that the flower thief that night was Takashi. No, to be precise, he was Taoist Tianji's disciple. However, in the end, it was Tang Zheng who took advantage of it. Long Tingyu's face darkened and said, "Miss Lu, are you not giving me face? It's just a glass of wine. It's not a big deal. If you don't agree, then your company's business is out of the question." According to Lu Qingmei's temper in the past, she would definitely answer without hesitation. "So what if it's yellow? It's none of my business." But after that incident, her temper changed a lot. Moreover, she came to the capital alone to make a living. She wanted to rely on her own ability to make a career. She had just entered the company not long ago, so for the sake of performance, she chose to endure. She resisted the urge to turn around and leave and said, "Young Master Long, I really don't know how to drink." "You don't drink, right? Then can you drink a cup of coffee? I've already given in. If you still don't give me face, then there's really no need to talk about this business." Long Tingyu said sternly. Lu Qingmei hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right, I'll just drink a cup of coffee and leave." "That's more like it." Long Tingyu's lips curled into a sinister smile as he closed the door. Chapter 324. Seeing the two of them enter the door, Tang Zheng was sure that Long Tingyu definitely did not have good intentions. Back then in Dianan, he dared to have ill intentions towards Feng Shishir, and this was also the germination of his old habits. Everyone's Ghent was a patriotic pine. "Long Tingyu, you've dared to lay your hands on my woman time and time again. Today is the day you die." Tang Zheng gritted his teeth. Inside the room, Long Tingyu brewed 2 cups of coffee and handed them over to Lu Qingmei. He smiled and said, "In this capital, there are not many beautiful ladies like Miss Lu. I am very happy to meet Miss Lu today." "Thank you." Lu Qingmei said coldly, "I finished my coffee, so I'm leaving." "Miss Lu, why are you in such a hurry? We can chat for a while and talk about our hearts." "I'm sorry, I need to go back and rest." "You can rest here too." Lu Qingmei's expression suddenly changed and said, "Young Master Long, please show some respect." "Respect, huh? I have always respected women, especially great beauties. I am very gentle." Long Tingyu laughed evilly. Lu Qingmei did not want to say more, so she stood up and walked towards the door. Long Tingyu was stunned for a moment. He did not expect the other party to have such a strong personality, but this made him even more interested. How could he just watch the other party leave? So he said calmly, "If you walk out of this door, then I will make your company go bankrupt tomorrow." Lu Qingmei originally had a fluke mentality, thinking that drinking a cup of coffee would be enough, but she did not expect Long Tingyu to have such evil intentions. This was something she absolutely could not tolerate, so she turned around and looked at Long Tingyu with disgust, and said resolutely, "If you go bankrupt, then go bankrupt. That has nothing to do with me." Long Tingyu flew into a rage. "F***ck, this young master will eat you today. You want to run? No way. When I get you into bed later, let's see how you can still be so noble." With that, he pounced towards Lu Qingmei like a tiger pouncing on its prey. Lu Qingmei's wrist was immediately grabbed by him. Lu Qingmei was just an ordinary person. How could he be a match for a martial artist like Long Tingyu? She couldn't help but scream, waving the handbag in her hand and smashing it on Long Tingyu's head. Long Tingyu did not expect the other party to dare to resist, and was even more furious. With a swing of his hand, Lu Qingmei was lightly thrown onto the bed. Lu Qingmei screamed. She did not expect that things would turn out this way. Here, no one would come to save her, no one would come to save her. She wanted to cry but had no tears. A figure involuntarily appeared in her mind, Tang Jing. Tang Jing, can you save me again? Back then, after she left ordinary balance without a word, she thought that the memories of that night would gradually fade away. She didn't expect that it would be like a spell, replaying in her mind over and over again. She knew that what happened that night could not be blamed on Tang Jing, but rather on that despicable criminal who drugged her. But she was a teacher and Tang Jing was a student, so for something like this to happen between the two, she could not face it. During the days she came to the capital, she wanted to forget that figure through work. She didn't expect that figure to become clearer and clearer in the middle of the night. The more she wanted to forget, the clearer she remembered it. She couldn't help but recall the bits and pieces of her acquaintance with Tang Jing. Originally, she didn't have much feelings for this student, but after Tang Jing's outstanding performance time and time again, his image gradually filled up in her heart. Especially after Tang Jing risked his life to save her from Song Donghua's evil clutches. Tang Jing's image was finally fixed in her heart and couldn't be erased. However, Lu Qingmei didn't notice this. Although their relationship became closer and closer, and she was more and more concerned about Tang Jing, she still subconsciously attributed it to the feelings between a teacher and a student. However, she didn't realize that this had already surpassed the feelings between a teacher and a student. It was the purest love between a man and a woman. She had made a move on Tang Jing. However, she had already left Tang Jing. Her pride made it impossible for her to go back and look for Tang Jing. However, at this moment, she hoped that Tang Jing would appear and save her from the evil clutches just like before. If Tang Jing appeared again, then she definitely wouldn't let him go. Instead, she would be loyal to her heart and accompany him. But she knew that this was just wishful thinking. It was impossible. How did Tang Jing know that she was in danger? Let's see how you can escape from my grasp. This young master will play with you tonight. Long Tingyu laughed maniacally, pretending to pounce on the beauty on the bed. Kacha! There was a soft sound of the door being turned, and then the door opened, and a person rushed in. Long Tingyu's heart skipped a beat. He hurriedly turned his head and roared, "Who is it that came to ruin my good fortune?" He didn't see the person clearly because the other party's speed was too fast. As soon as he finished speaking, a huge fist rushed toward his chest. He hurriedly counterattacked. After all, his skills were not bad. With a backhand slap, a surging force crashed into his palm, while another force crashed into his chest. Like a kite with a broken string, he flew to a corner and smashed a table into pieces. Lu Qingmei had already given up all hope, but when she saw this scene, her screams came to an abrupt end. She stared at the person who had come, dumbfounded. "Ah!" She screamed again. This time, it was mixed with ecstasy. Did the heavens hear her prayer? A miracle had actually happened. Tang Jing had really appeared. If this was not the arrangement of the heavens, how could all of this have happened? She was deeply moved and tears welled up in her eyes. She was truly blessed. Tang Jing was her guardian angel. No matter what danger she encountered, Tang Jing would appear in time. Tang Jing looked at Lu Qing, who was crying on the bed, and his heart softened. He asked softly, "Are you all right?" Lu Qingmei shook her head and threw herself into Tang Jing's arms. She was so excited that she said incoherently, "I knew you would come back to save me. I've been waiting for you for so long. I'll never let you leave again. I'll be with you for the rest of my life." As she spoke, she actually took the initiative to kiss Tang Jing passionately. Tang Jing was flabbergasted. He did not expect Lu Qingmei to be so enthusiastic. That familiar smell made him involuntarily recall the scene of that night. He hugged Lu Qingmei and would never let go. She was his, Tang Jing's, woman, and he would never allow outsiders to touch her. Tang Zheng's head rose with a man's arrogance and strong desire to possess. The famous flower was already taken, and if anyone dared to have any ideas about this flower, then he would crush them into pieces. Long Tingyu finally saw clearly who the person was. When he saw that face, his expression immediately became very interesting. This face was his nightmare. Back then, he had almost killed him in the Long family's territory. If Long Xianyuan had not stopped him, then he would have already become a wandering ghost under Tang Zheng's sword. He was filled with anger towards this person. He had always wanted to take revenge, but he had never found the right opportunity. But this time, they actually met again by accident. Furthermore, it seemed that this Lu Qingmei had an unusual relationship with him. But why were all the beauties in the world related to Tang Zheng? Why were all these women willing to surround Tang Zheng? Mu Hongyan was like this, Fang Shishir was like this, and even this Lu Qingmei, who was originally unrelated to him, actually had such a relationship with Tang Zheng. Long Tingyu really wanted to ask the heavens why they were so unfair, and even kissed him passionately in front of him. Wasn't this woman a chaste and virtuous woman just now? Why was she so passionate towards Tang Zheng? Long Tingyu's eyes gradually turned red. He crawled up in a sorry state and roared, "Tang Zheng, you ruined my plans again." The two of them had no choice but to let go of each other. Lu Qingmei snuggled into Tang Zheng's arms like a little bird and asked curiously, "Do you know each other?" "Yes, enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. I didn't kill him last time, but this time, he actually came out to harm others." Tang Zheng said hatefully. "Tang Zheng, I didn't kill you last time in Dianan. This time, I met you again. That will be the time of your death." Long Tingyu said fiercely. Tang Zheng disdainfully said, "Just whose time of death is this? I believe you know in your heart." He turned to Lu Qingmei and said softly, "Sister Mei, you watch from the side. I'll deal with this beast first." Long Tingyu was shocked. He suddenly remembered that he was not a match for Tang Zheng. Looking at the other party's aggressive gaze, he knew that this time, there was no way to be kind. As long as I rush out of this door, Tang Zheng will not be able to escape. Sawada Ichiro is an expert of the island. He will definitely be able to defeat this brat. That's right, let's use Sawada Ichiro to kill this brat. Long Tingyu thought of a plan. His heart was set, he roared, and directly rushed towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng attacked, but it missed, because Long Tingyu's attack was just a feint. His real goal was to rush to the door. Seeing that he had already swept past Tang Zheng's heart moved, and he understood the other party's thoughts. He shouted, "You want to escape? Come if." The earth-shrinking technique exploded, and his speed suddenly increased. Just as the other party's hand was about to touch the door handle, he grabbed the other party's neck and threw him back. Bang! Long Tingyu fell onto the bed, smashing the sturdy bed and sinking into the quilt. Tang Zheng tiptoed and pounced forward again. Long Tingyu took a deep breath, slapped the ground with his palm, then stood up and quickly dodged backwards. In this narrow space, only two figures could be seen moving and dodging. They were so fast that no one could see them clearly. This was the first time Lu Qingmei had seen Tang Zheng's true skills. She couldn't help but hold her breath. Her tears had stopped, and her eyes gradually lit up. So Tang Zheng was actually so powerful. Her little heart thumped wildly, as if she had a whole new understanding of Tang Zheng, and the feelings in her heart had finally completely exploded. I'm her woman and she's my guardian. She was overjoyed and became more and more determined. Long Tingyu fled like a stray dog, but there was no way for him to rush out of the room. The soundproofing effect of the room was very good. Even if they fought in the room until it was dark and blood flowed like a river, no one outside would notice. He regretted not falling. Why didn't he find another hotel with poor soundproofing? That way, he wouldn't have to be so passive. He gradually felt that death was approaching him. Chapter 325. Long Tingyu was filled with regret and hatred. Tang Zheng was simply his nemesis. Ever since he met Tang Zheng, nothing in his life had gone smoothly. Ghent is a patriotic pine. It wasn't easy for him to come to the capital this time, but he didn't expect that he still couldn't get rid of this nemesis. Tang Zheng, Are you really going to kill me? I am the son of Long Xianyuan. If you kill me, the old man will not let you go. Long Tingyu was ready to use his father's name to scare Tang Jing. You've harmed countless people by relying on the Long family. Today, I'm going to get rid of this evil for the people. You want me to let you go? No way. Tang Zheng's attitude was resolute. His attacks became fiercer and fiercer. When he saw an opening in his opponent's defense, he struck his opponent's chest with his palm. Bang! Long Tingyu crashed into the glass window. With a crashing sound, the glass shattered into pieces and he flew straight out. Ah! Long Tingyu screamed miserably. This was a tall building with more than 10 floors. He was scared out of his wits. He grabbed onto the windowsill and shouted, Tang Jing, I beg you, don't kill me. I'll give you whatever you want. Isn't it just a woman? At worst, I'll never touch your woman again. Murderous intent flashed in Tang Zheng's eyes. He knew very well that the words of this kind of playboy could not be easily believed. It was better to believe that pigs could fly than to hope that they would turn over a new leaf. Bang! Unspecified currency, Tang Zheng once again slapped Long Tingyu's finger that was grabbing onto the window. Kacha, the finger bones shattered. Long Tingyu subconsciously let go of his hand, and his body quickly fell down. Ah! A blood-curdling scream echoed through the night sky. Tang Jing didn't look at her for long. He grabbed Lu Qingmei's hand and said, Sister Mei, let's go. The two of them quickly went downstairs. Just as they walked out of the hotel entrance, they saw the hotel staff running towards the direction where Long Tingyu had fallen. No one noticed that the two of them had disappeared into the night. They only stopped when they had passed a few streets. Lu Qingmei gasped for breath. Just now, her adrenaline had been secreted rapidly. Now that the momentum had passed, she felt a little scared and her legs were a little weak. Tang Zheng, did you really kill him? Lu Qingmei asked in fear. Tang Zheng calmly said, Don't worry, this kind of person deserves to die. But he is from the Long family in Dianan. You will get into trouble. Lu Qingmei said worriedly. Tang Zheng shook his head and said nothing. Anyway, he had already offended the Chu family in the capital. He didn't care about offending the Long family in Dianan. Besides, in that situation, Tang Jing really couldn't control his anger. It was impossible for him to not do something. Seeing Tang Zheng's understatement, Lu Qingmei couldn't figure him out. She still advised, let's leave the capital together and return to the ordinary balance. Even if the Long family wants to deal with you, in the ordinary balance, I can ask my father to restrain the Long family. Seeing that she didn't hesitate to use her family's strength to resolve this crisis, a warm current flowed through Tang Zheng's heart. He tightly hugged her waist and said righteously, I am a man, how can I hide behind a woman? Don't worry, we'll deal with whatever comes our way. If the Long family comes, they might not be able to kill me as they wish. Tang Zheng had his last trump card. In the end, he could just hide under the imperial city. Long Xianyuan couldn't break through the formation. It was harder than ascending to the heavens to kill him. Seeing his heroic appearance, Lu Qingmei's heart was about to melt. Leaning in his arms and feeling his surging and powerful heart, her cheeks couldn't help but blush. She thought, why is his masculinity getting stronger and stronger? He is much more mature than when he was in high school. Immediately, she couldn't help but hug his body tightly. Tang Zheng felt her movements, lowered his head to look, and found that her face was flushed red. He couldn't help but stare blankly. He lowered his head and kissed her. Woo. Lu Qingmei symbolically struggled for a moment before she hooked her arms around his neck and responded. This was the first time they had done this kind of thing on the streets. The two people's hearts sped up a bit. Although it was nighttime, there were still many pedestrians who looked over and saluted them. Lu Qingmei's body gradually heated up. Her feelings were like a volcanic eruption, as if she was going to melt. Tang Zheng also felt this burning feeling. He hugged her tightly, wishing that he could rub her into his body. After a long time, Lu Qingmei released because of the lack of oxygen. Her face was like a ripe apple, bright and juicy. She coquettishly said, "Let's go back, not here." She had completely removed her cold disguise and revealed her true side. "I'm living in school now, it's not convenient for me there." "You really came to the capital to go to university?" Of course, Yenqing University. Of course we're not going back to your school. We're going back to my house. I rented a house nearby. Lu Qingmei said. Do you want to take a taxi? No, you can walk with me. I've been in the capital for so long, but I haven't had a good look at the night scene. Lu Qingmei took a deep breath and said. The air was already a little cold, so she tightened her jacket. I'll take off my coat and give it to you, Tang Jing said. Lu Qingmei shook her head and said, I'm not cold, just hug me. To her, Tang Zheng's embrace was the warmest place in the world. Tang Zheng hugged her and quietly strolled along the street, like a very intimate couple. At this moment, the hotel was in an uproar. Long Tingyu's fall was very loud, but he did not directly fall to the ground. Instead, he fell to the glass wall of the large advertisement, and then fell to the ground after a buffer. But even so, falling from a height of tens of meters still caused a lot of damage. It was unknown how many bones were broken, and he fell into a coma. The hotel staff surrounded him in a circle. Someone had already called for an ambulance, and many hotel guests were pointing at him. It was definitely a big deal for something like this to happen in a 5-star hotel. Everyone was guessing the identity of the person who fell from the building and the reason for it. Sawada Ichiro was also in the crowd. He was attracted by Long Tingyu's screams, and when he saw Long Tingyu on the ground, his face revealed a look of shock. He was very clear about the strength and influence of the Long family in this country. It was definitely unprecedented for someone to dare to kill Long Tingyu. Moreover, he and Long Tingyu were partners. If Long Tingyu died, his interests would be damaged. Therefore, no matter what, he could not just watch Long Tingyu die. Seeing that Long Tingyu's chest was still rising and falling slightly, Sawada Ichiro knew that the other party was not dead. Thus, he hurriedly walked over and pushed the hotel staff away, saying, Get out of the way, I'll save him. No, wait for the doctor. The hotel staff had already recognized Long Tingyu and did not dare to act rashly, much less let others get close to Long Tingyu. Sawada Ichiro snorted coldly, and in a flash he passed through the human wall, squatted in front of Long Tingyu, and started to circulate his energy to treat him. It had to be said that Long Tingyu was really lucky. At the critical moment, he used his energy to protect his internal organs. Although the huge impact broke many of his bones, his life was indeed saved. Of course, if it wasn't for the buffer of the advertising wall, he would have died without a doubt. This was something that Tang Jing did not expect. Young Master Long, you're awake. Who hurt you? Under Sawada Ichiro's treatment, Long Tingyu finally opened his eyes slowly, causing the other people who wanted to rush up and chase Sawada Ichiro away to stop. Long Tingyu grimaced as he sucked in a breath of cold air. This time he had really walked through the gates of hell. The moment he fell off the building, he felt as if he had seen the god of death. However, he was lucky enough to survive. He couldn't help but feel a lingering fear, but more than that, he was filled with anger. His eyes were wide open, as if his eyeballs were about to pop out. He gritted his teeth and growled, Tang Zheng, it's Tang Zheng who wants to kill me. Tang Zheng? Sawada Ichiro was stunned for a moment. He was shocked. Wasn't his disciple, Jiangchuan Yuanye, also defeated by a person called Tang Zheng today? Could it be that these two were the same person? Young Master Long, who is Tang Zheng? A despicable fellow, I want to kill him, I want to take revenge. Long Tingyu roared, but it affected his wounds, causing him to moan in pain. Is Tang Zheng a student of Yenqing University? Sawada Ichiro asked. I don't know, I don't care where he is, I must dig 3 feet into the ground to find him. Sawada Ichiro, I will add another condition to our cooperation, and that is, we must make Tang Zheng disappear from this world. Only when he is dead can our cooperation continue. Long Tingyu said hatefully. Sawada Ichiro muttered to himself for a moment, then said, Don't worry, young Master Long, as long as we find out who this person is, we will definitely do as you wish. Whether or not this Tang Zheng and the person who defeated his disciple were the same person, Sawada Ichiro had no reason to refuse, because in his eyes, Tang Zheng was an insignificant person. At this time, the ambulance arrived, and Long Tingyu was carried to the car and quickly sent to the hospital. The news of Long Tinyu falling and almost dying quickly spread throughout the capital, and it was believed that it was caused by him, but no one knew who this person was. Although the Long family's headquarters was in southern Yunnan, they still had quite a bit of influence in the capital. Who knew how many pairs of eyes were staring at the Long family? Thus, they all investigated the truth behind Long Tinyu's fall. Unknowingly, a strange feeling arose in everyone's heart. During this period of time, the capital was truly troubled. First, it was Chu Xiaofeng, then it was Long Tinyu. It seemed that the disciples of these large families were really unlucky recently. Bad things happened one after another. Many people were guessing who was targeting Long Tinyu this time. They didn't know how big of a storm it would cause. Sawada Ichiro also ordered Jiangchuan Yuanya to investigate Tang Jing and lock onto Tang Zheng's whereabouts. No matter what, he had to crush this stumbling block. At the same time, no one noticed that a figure had snuck into the capital's police forensic center and saw 2 corpses that had been sucked dry of blood. Looking at these 2 corpses, she finally confirmed that these 2 people were indeed killed by the demon god, which meant that the demon god was really in the capital. She immediately reported this matter to the martial sect master and also started an investigation. She was determined to track down the whereabouts of the demon god. As one of the parties involved in all of this, Tang Jing walked into an apartment with Lu Qingmei in his arms. The night was long, and it seemed that something would happen. Chapter 326. Lu Qingmei's residence was a single room, but it was still warm and elegant, without any sense of disorder. It seems that ever since Tang Jing first bumped into the messy scene of her house, she has changed this habit. Do you want some water? I'll boil some water for you. Lu Qingmei said. No need. Tang Jing held her hand and stared at her. A man and a woman alone in a room. He couldn't help but recall the scene from that night, and his heart began to heat up. Seeing the passion in his eyes, Lu Qingmei gave a charming smile. Was it that good to look at? I couldn't stop looking. Of course it was good to look at. Tang Zheng's arm tightened, and she tightly stuck to his body. Her curvaceous body ignited the flames in his heart. Let's go to bed. Lu Qingmei's emotions were stirred up, and she said softly. All right. Tang Zheng picked her up by the waist and walked straight to the bed. Perhaps it was because the impression of that night was too deep, but Tang Zheng's heart was only filled with the most primitive desire. Lu Qingmei was gently placed on the bed. She stared at him and said, I originally thought that I would never see you again. I never thought that you would save me again. This is the will of the heavens. Right, this is the will of the heavens. In the future, you are not allowed to leave without saying goodbye. Otherwise, I will spank your butt, Tang Jing said as he slapped her butt. She cried out in surprise and pouted. Tang Jing, you've changed compared to before. Is that so? How come I didn't notice? Tang Jing was shocked. It seemed that his personality had changed greatly compared to before. The indecisiveness in his personality had decreased by quite a bit, and he had gained a kind of decisiveness. Could it be because I absorbed the dragon chi? If it was before, even if he and Lu Qingmei's relationship was already natural, he would not be so proactive. This was indeed because of the dragon chi. Of course, on the other hand, it was also because his cultivation was getting higher and higher. That kind of temperament that came from the bottom of his heart had undergone a tremendous change. Moreover, his attitude towards many rules in real life had also changed. In the past, he would still fuss over the matters between himself and women. For example, he already had Fang Shishir. If something happened between him and Lu Qingmei, wouldn't it conflict with the rules of society? However, at this moment, the feeling in his heart had become very calm. There was no choice or conflict. Instead, he let nature take its course and did things according to his own heart. Perhaps this was the nature of many men's genes being stimulated. Since ancient times, men would be a little more domineering in this aspect, and the average man's achievements were too small, so his nature in this aspect was suppressed. As Tang Zheng's cultivation grew higher, his nature in this aspect was liberated. Seeing the confusion in Tang Zheng's eyes, Lu Qingmei smiled and hooked her arms around his neck. She took the initiative to go up to him and said, But I like this change very much. You're really starting to mature. I'm not a little man. You're a little man. You're even younger than me. Lu Qingmei also felt a sense of absurdity in her heart. Logically speaking, she wouldn't be interested in a little man who was a few years younger than her, let alone fall in love with him. However, the reality was so wonderful. The impossible really did happen. Was this a miracle? Lu Qingmei was sure that this was a miracle. A miracle was the will of the heavens. Since it was the will of the heavens, then she would follow the will of the heavens and accept this wonderful feeling. How am I small? I'm very big, Tang Jing said with a mischievous smile. Very big? How come I don't see it? Lu Qingmei obviously knew what he meant. She deliberately put on an expression of disbelief and said, "If you dare to doubt me? Then I'll let you see if it's big or not." Tang Jing grabbed her hand and guided it to a place. What are you doing? Wow, it's really big. Lu Qingmei obviously knew what she was touching. It was really big. Her breathing couldn't help but quicken. Next, I'm going to see if yours is big or not. What are you doing? Lu Qingmei deliberately exclaimed, refusing to welcome him. Soon, the sound of fighting turned into the sound of panting, rolling in the waves and filling the room with the beauty of spring. At the same time, Sawada Ichiro had already obtained the photo of Tang Jing from Jiangchuan Yunya. He immediately went to find Long Tingyu. Long Tingyu had already finished the operation and was lying on the hospital bed, breathing heavily. Although he had saved his life, his injuries were not something that could be healed in a short period of time. When Sawada Ichiro walked in, he found Long Tingyu staring blankly at the snow-white ceiling. This matter was a huge blow to Long Tingyu. He did not expect that he would lose to an unknown person and almost die at that. "Young Master Long, is this the Tang Jing you were talking about?" Sawada Ichiro took out his phone and showed it to Long Tingyu. Long Tingyu's eyes immediately burst out with sparks. With a sinister expression, he said, "It's him. I want to burn his bones and scatter his ashes." Sawada Ichiro was stunned. He did not expect that these two Tang Jing were actually the same person. This way, it would save him a lot of trouble and deal with this Tang Jing once and for all. "I want him to die immediately." "I understand, young Master Long. You take care of your injuries. I promise you that he won't see the sun the day after tomorrow," Sawada Ichiro said with a murderous aura. At dawn, Tang Jing opened his eyes and stretched his waist. He found that the beauty in his arms was sleeping soundly. Last night, the two of them had been tormenting each other for most of the night. Last time, Lu Qingmei had a relationship with Tang Jing under the stimulation of drugs. In fact, she did not experience the subtle feeling of it. This time, in order to make up for it, she had a second chance with Tang Jing and could be considered to have truly tasted the flavor. Although she was slightly older than Tang Jing, her experience in this matter was far inferior to Tang Jing's. Just as Tang Jing was about to get out of bed, Lu Qingmei woke up and swam up like a fish, tightly hugging his waist. Her naked body stuck to Tang Jing, like a clingy little woman. "I'll go make breakfast. You can continue sleeping for a while," Tang Jing said softly. Lu Qingmei lazily shook her head and said, "No, I want you to continue lying down with me." "Hee, all right, I'll lie down with you." Tang Jing simply crawled back into bed. The two fiery bodies were entangled together. That soul-stirring and graceful body made Tang Jing surge. "Don't let your imagination run wild. Last night, you tormented me until I don't have any strength. I don't want to be weak in the middle of the day," Lu Qingmei said. "All right, I'll listen to you." Tang Jing's big hands wandered around her body, but there was no substantial invasion. Lu Qingmei enjoyed this kind of caress. She slightly closed her eyes and picked up the phone on the bedside to turn it on. Ring, ring, ring. A burst of urgent ringtone sounded. Lu Qingmei looked at the caller ID and unhappily frowned. She hesitated for a moment before pressing the answer button. "Lu Qingmei, where are you? What did you do last night? How did young Master Long get injured? You've caused our company's order to be cancelled. You have to take responsibility, do you understand?" A roar sounded out. It was particularly ear-piercing. Hearing this, Tang Jing frowned and flew into a rage. This was the voice of the big-bellied man from yesterday. Lu Qingmei waved her hand at Tang Jing, indicating for him to calm down. Her voice returned to its cold state and said, "What does Long Tingyu's injury have to do with me? You have ill intentions. It's a good thing that your order is cancelled. It's best if your company goes bankrupt as well." The other party was stunned for a moment. Obviously, he did not expect Lu Qingmei to answer him like this. He paused for a moment, then raised his voice and roared, "Lu Qingmei, do you know what you're talking about? Be careful or I'll fire you." "It's more like I'll fire you. I don't want to do it anymore. Where did you come from? Scram back to where you came from." The big-bellied man was stunned. It took him a long time to react. He said angrily, "Who is young Master Long? You dare to hurt young Master Long?" Pow! Lu Qingmei immediately hung up the phone. She did not want to waste any more time with him. She said indignantly, "This person is too annoying. I was really blind to work at his company back then. Last night, he was clearly in cahoots with Long Tingyu. We can't let him go just like that." Tang Zheng was very angry that he dared to harm his woman. Lu Qingmei patted his chest and said, "Forget it, he has offended Long Tingyu this time, so he will not have a good time. I think his company is really going to go bankrupt." Seeing Lu Qingmei's persuasion, Tang Zheng stopped pursuing the matter and said, "He just said that Long Tingyu is not dead. This person's life is really big." Lu Qingmei heaved a sigh of relief and said, "It's good that you're not dead. This way, you'll have less trouble." Tang Jing shook his head and laughed bitterly. With Long Tingyu's personality, if he did not die, there might not be less trouble, but no matter how Long Tingyu wanted to play, he would accompany him to the end. However, if Long Tingyu wanted to take revenge, he might come for Lu Qingmei. This was what he was most worried about. Sister Mei has a profound Yin body, and her physique is even better than a pure Yin body. I don't know if she's suitable for cultivation, but since she's my woman, why don't we let her cultivate as well? Tang Zheng had an idea. Although cultivators were not safe right now, he was even more worried that Lu Qingmei did not have the slightest ability to protect herself. Furthermore, Fang Shishir was also a cultivator. If he did not bring Lu Qingmei along this path, wouldn't it be unfair? However, he was not prepared to pass on Fang Shishir's cultivation technique to Lu Qingmei. He wanted to find another suitable cultivation technique for her, so he could only put this matter aside for the time being. "Sister Mei, you stay at home today and don't go out. I'll go take care of this matter," Tang Zheng warned. "No, I'll go with you." Tang Zheng shook his head and said, "Be obedient, I can solve the problem by myself. If you go, I'll be worried instead." Lu Qingmei was conflicted in her heart, but she could only compromise. After the two of them had breakfast, Tang Zheng went to the underground of the imperial city alone and brought out Xiaobai. This little guy seemed to like to stay with the golden dragon and was reluctant to part with it. Then he left Xiaobai at Lu Qingmei's house and told Xiaobai to protect Lu Qingmei. Lu Qingmei did not know about Xiaobai's ability, but when she saw such a cute puppy, she really liked it. She promised that with this little guy by her side, she would not leave the house today. Only then did Tang Jing feel relieved and go back to school. When he walked to the school gate, he saw two people walking towards him with unfriendly expressions. Chapter 327. Sawadi Chiro and Jiangchuan Harano were waiting at the school gate. When they saw that Tang Zheng had returned, the two of them went up to him at the same time and blocked Tang Zheng's path. Everyone knew that Ghent was a patriotic pine. Tang Zheng's pupils shrank. This pair of master and disciple actually came to the school directly. They were really in a hurry. He couldn't be more clear about their intentions. Seeing the crowd at the school gate, Tang Zheng was the first to break the silence and said, "Shall we find a quiet place?" Sawadi Chiro was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Tang Zheng to be so calm and even take the initiative to ask to go to a quiet place. Whether the other party was pretending to be stupid or was really stupid, Sawada Ichiro accepted the suggestion. The three of them walked towards a secluded alley in the distance. At the same time, Sawada Ichiro was also silently observing Tang Zheng. Indeed, as Jiangchuan Harano said, this kid didn't have any inner force fluctuations. If it wasn't for the fact that Jiangchuan Harano lost to him, Sawada Ichiro would definitely treat Tang Zheng as an ordinary person. This kid is a little strange and has guts. It seems like he has something up his sleeve. I wonder what he's up to. Sawada Ichiro was secretly puzzled. He looked at Jiangchuan Harano and the master and disciple exchanged a look. Jiangchuan Harano was shocked. Is this Tangjing stupid? Can't he see that my master is a master? No matter what tricks he plays, he can't do anything in front of my master. Moreover, he offended young Master Long, so he's definitely going to die. Jiangchuan Harano couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. As long as Tangjing died, his Bushido club could continue to recruit new members and complete his spy mission. Before they reached the entrance of the alley, they saw a person step in front of Tangjing and asked with a gloomy face, "Are you Tangjing?" Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Today, everyone ran into each other. Tangjing was shocked. The person blocking his path was actually the demon god. However, the demon god had only obtained some of Takashi's fragmented memories and did not recognize Tangjing. Tangjing had used his illusions to disguise himself in many battles with the demon god, so the demon god did not know that the person he hated so much was standing in front of him. Takashi, why are you looking for me? Tangjing feigned ignorance and asked. Of course there's something I need from you. The demon god said coldly, and Jiangchuan Yunye was furious when he saw another troublemaker coming out of nowhere. Who are you? Get out of the way and don't interfere with our work. The demon god's eyes turned cold, like the cold wind of winter, making Jiangchuan Yunye shudder. He subconsciously took a step back and exclaimed, "What are you going to do?" The other party clearly did not have any inner strength fluctuations, but he had such a terrifying gaze and aura. It was truly inconceivable. Sawada Ichiro was also shocked. He took a step forward and stood in front of his disciple. He glared at the demon god and asked, "Who are you?" The demon god looked at him disdainfully and said, "A few martial artists dare to be noisy again. Today, I'm going to deal with all of you." Seeing that the other party was so arrogant, Sawada Ichiro was furious. He subconsciously thought that the other party was Tangjing's accomplice. He said angrily, "How dare you look down on the warriors of our island nation? Today I will bury you with him." Killing one was killing a pair was also killing. Sawada Ichiro did not care about one more ghost under his blade. Moreover, being able to kill Huaxia like his senior was something he had yearned for a long time. It seemed that today he could finally fulfill his wish. The reason why the demon god came to find Tangjing was because when Ding Xiaowan mentioned Tangjing to him, he had the thought of killing Tangjing and absorbing his blood. Yesterday, he was busy cultivating and did not have the time, so he came to find Tangjing early in the morning. As expected, he was found by him, but he did not expect that there would be two more martial warriors beside him. However, this was insignificant. With one more martial warriors absorbing his blood, wouldn't he be able to recover even more of his strength? Therefore, he naturally did not have the slightest bit of good expression towards Sawada Ichiro and his disciple. Instead, his face was filled with killing intent. Tangjing did not expect the two of them to meet. It was really interesting. He was still thinking about how to deal with Sawada Ichiro later. After all, he could not see through Sawada Ichiro's cultivation, and according to the other party's aura, it was very likely that he was in the pre-celestial stage. Facing the pre-celestial stage, Tangjing did not have complete confidence in killing the other party, but he also had absolute confidence that he could protect his own life, which was why he walked towards this small alley without hesitation. Now that he saw that Sawada Ichiro and the demon god were about to fight, it was simply a pleasant surprise. He looked at both sides calmly. He saw that both sides were staring at each other with murderous intent, and they both regarded each other as Tangjing's accomplices. Tangjing also realized this. He immediately jumped into the alley with the tip of his foot and disappeared in the blink of an eye. The demon god turned his head to look and was about to chase after him, but Sawada Ichiro attacked the demon god's back with one move. It seemed that this pair of masters had a tradition and both liked this kind of sneak attack. How could the demon god be afraid? He hit Sawada Ichiro's palm with his backhand, and with the help of the rebound force, he rose into the air and landed in the alley, blocking Tangjing's way. Sawada Ichiro took half a step back, horrified. The strength of the other party was far beyond his imagination. His face had become particularly serious, and he growled, "Don't think about escaping." With a flash of his figure, he chased into the alley. Jiangchuan Yuanyi also followed closely behind. Sawada Ichiro chased into the alley, but did not directly attack Tang Zheng. Instead, he attacked the demon god. Obviously, in his eyes, the demon god was the biggest threat. Furthermore, the demon god was the backer behind Tang Zheng. Only by eliminating the demon god would he have the chance to kill Tang Zheng and fulfill Long Tingyu's wish. The demon god was also a proud person. Although he had stopped Tang Zheng, when he saw Sawada Ichiro's crazy attack, he resolutely put down Tang Zheng and fought fiercely with Sawada Ichiro. Tang Zheng calmly crossed his arms and watched the show, but he did not take the opportunity to slip away. If he had slipped away, the two of them would not have fought to the death like this. Right now, it was just the right time for them to bite each other, and Tang Zheng could just sit back and reap the benefits. The demon god was unscrupulous. He had long regarded these people as his prey. Although it was broad daylight, he did not restrain himself at all and directly used his magic. A bloody mist spread out from his body and filled the alley. Sawada Ichiro and his master suddenly realized that there was a lot of bloody mist in front of them. They were shocked and could not help but exclaim, "What's going on?" When Jiangchuan Yuanyi saw this, he actually felt a kind of fear that came from the bottom of his heart. Seeing the bloody mist spreading towards him, he hurriedly retreated, but the bloody mist seemed to have a mind of its own and quickly surrounded him. Jiangchuan Yuanyi immediately coughed loudly and shouted, "Master, there's something wrong with this mist. I feel so uncomfortable." Jiangchuan Yuanyi kept scratching his skin, as if there were tens of thousands of insects crawling inside his skin. It was extremely itchy and unbearable. Hold your breath and use your cultivation to force the bloody mist out. Sawada Ichiro's cultivation was more profound, so the bloody mist did not cause any harm to him at first. But when he saw his disciple's miserable appearance, he understood the power of the bloody mist. His back was covered in cold sweat, and he exclaimed, "What kind of evil martial art is this? How come I've never heard of it?" You're just a martial artist. Of course you haven't heard of it. This is the demon god's demon blood devouring technique. It's not something a martial artist like you can resist, the demon god said proudly. Demon blood devouring technique? Demon god? Sawada Ichiro was shocked. He had never heard of such a technique, and the so-called demon god had never heard of such a title. Who was this person? How could he be so evil? Time did not allow him to think carefully. Under the pervasive bloody mist, he accidentally inhaled a few mouthfuls. His body was a little itchy and his mind was shaken. It was as if his soul was about to break out of his shell. This was a feeling that Sawada Ichiro had never felt before. It made him feel unbelievable, but it also made him extremely frightened. He felt a fatal threat. This time, he was originally full of confidence, but now he was in such a mess, and his life was in danger. It was a great shame. He subconsciously looked at Tang Zheng, but saw that Tang Zheng was safe and sound. Although there was a bloody mist around him, it did not hurt him at all. Sawada Ichiro suddenly realized that they were together. Otherwise, with Tang Zheng's cultivation, how could he avoid the bloody mist's attack? It must be because the other party had the corresponding secret method. No, this demon god is a real master. Although I haven't been defeated yet, I can't hold on for more than 100 moves. If I continue to stay, I will only die. Run, I must run. I will find a way to take revenge later. Sawada Ichiro made up his mind. Although he saw his disciple lying on the ground twitching, he had no way to save him. He roared, and the katana in his hand glowed with cold light. He slashed at the demon god and shouted, "Kill!" The blade light turned into petals, like cherry blossoms falling from the sky. They scattered the bloody mist in front of him and went straight to the top of the demon god's head. A look of surprise flashed in the demon god's eyes. He did not expect the other party to have such a fierce move. He took a small step back and then prepared to attack with all his strength. However, as soon as he took a small step back, Sawada Ichiro turned around and fled. He rushed out of the alley, ignoring Jiangchuan Ichiro on the ground. Tang Jing did not expect Sawada Ichiro to be so decisive. It was too late for him to stop him. Looking at the fleeing silhouette of the other party, the demon god hesitated for a moment. In the end, he did not give chase. Instead, he directly grabbed Jiangchuan Yuanyer on the ground and bit his neck, continuously sucking his blood. Immediately, the demon god's body emitted waves of red light. In the blink of an eye, Jiangchuan Hirano's blood was sucked dry and he died. He never thought that he would die like this in a foreign country. The demon god turned around and stared at Tang Jing covetously. He said with interest, "Hey, you didn't run away? Could it be that you were scared silly? Heh, you're just a coward, yet Ding Xiaowan said that you're so powerful. However, you're a warrior after all, so sucking your blood is more useful than sucking an ordinary person's." Suddenly, the demon god's eyes turned cold. He looked at the blood mist around Tang Jing in shock. The blood mist was completely isolated from Tang Jing's body. He could not help but exclaim, "How is this possible?" Chapter 328. It was indeed impossible. The demon god's demon blood soul devouring technique was extremely lethal to ordinary people or martial artists. Furthermore, when trained to the extreme, it could indeed devour the opponent's soul. No advertisement, this was an extremely vicious cultivation technique, but it had a fatal weakness. It was not very useful to cultivators, because the innate chi of cultivators had a natural resistance to the blood mist. Of course, if the martial artist was a person with a high cultivation, they would not be afraid of the blood mist. However, it was obvious that Tang Jing was not such a person, but he was safe and sound. The demon god was immediately shocked. He looked at Tang Jing with his mouth agape and asked, "How did you do it? How can you not be afraid of my demon blood soul devouring technique?" Tang Jing snorted. Just as he was about to answer, he saw a figure quickly approaching. In the blink of an eye, his heart trembled, and he immediately swallowed the words he was about to blurt out. Tang Jing's entire body tensed up. He became especially vigilant, even more vigilant than when facing the demon god. This was because the person in front of him was his greatest enemy, Marshall. He did not know why Marshall had come, but he was simply haunting him. Last night, Marshall had investigated the cause of death of Shin Kuan and Meng Yao, and from the information provided by the Li Palace, she found out that the deceased seemed to have a grudge with Tang Jing, and had met with Tang Jing and Takashi the day before. She wanted to come to Yenching University to ask the two of them about the specific situation. However, he did not expect that when he was not far from the school gate, he would feel a fluctuation in the air. This was definitely the result of a battle between experts. As a result, Marshall rushed over without hesitation and coincidentally saw that there was still a faint blood mist floating in the alley. Furthermore, there was a corpse lying on the ground, and Tang Jing and Takashi were facing each other. Marshall subconsciously shouted, Takashi, Tang Jing." The demon god subconsciously turned his head to look, his pupils constricting. Wasn't this the martial artist who had stopped him from descending into this world? When the enemy met, their eyes turned red, and the demon god's eyes burned with an even stronger killing intent than before. However, Wu did not notice it for a moment, and instead quickly arrived in front of the demon god, and asked suspiciously, "What's going on?" Without speaking, only a cold blood blade answered her. With a flash of red light, the demon god stabbed the blood blade into Marshall's lower abdomen at lightning speed. Immediately, a look of disbelief burst out from Marshall's eyes. He subconsciously used his roaring flame blade to slash at the demon god. The demon god retreated, and the attack missed. Marshall lowered her head to look at the wound, only to see blood flowing out. Ever since she started her career, she had never suffered such a serious injury. And this attack was launched by Takashi. She looked at Takashi in disbelief and said, "Who exactly are you? Why are you so powerful?" If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have ended up like this after I was born. You're that Wu Zong person, right? Since that's the case, I'll start with you today." The demon god said murderously. Marshall suddenly realized, "You are the demon god?" "That's me." It's your honor to die at my hands today. You're a cultivator, I'm going to kill you. She never thought that she would meet the demon god so unexpectedly. She originally thought that she would spend some effort to investigate his whereabouts, but he appeared in front of her just like that and even heavily injured her. Ha, you still want to kill me like this? It's more like I want to kill you. Go and die. The demon god fiercely pounced towards Marshall. Seeing that, Tangjing did not save him. Marshall was his enemy. If the demon god could kill her, it would be equivalent to helping him. Marshall was not an idiot. Back then, she was not a match for the demon god, let alone now that she was heavily injured. She was filled with regret and immediately retreated. However, the demon god's movements were obviously very fast. In the blink of an eye, the blood blade had pierced through Marshall's chest. If it had gone a few inches further, Marshall's heart would have been pierced through. Tangjang's heart couldn't help but beat faster. As long as Marshall died, he would have one less problem. The sound of something breaking through the air arrived like a flash of lightning, heading straight for the demon god's head. This aura was extremely sharp. The demon god raised his head and waved his blood blade. With a crisp clang, a cold light shot into the wall beside him. With a bang, fragments flew everywhere as an iron arrow buzzed and trembled nonstop. Marshall took this opportunity and quickly retreated, once again distancing himself from the demon god. Tangjing looked at the iron arrow and was extremely angry. Just who was it that ruined his plans? A graceful figure descended from the sky. She held an iron bow in her hand, which was slightly smaller than the heaven-shocking bow. The bow was engraved with beautiful patterns, like a handicraft. However, no one would doubt the lethality of this iron bow, because the arrow just now had already displayed its might. Furthermore, it was held in Li Xiaotian's hands. Li Xiaotian's mouth curled up into a faint smile. He looked at the demon god and said, "So you are the demon god." After he finished speaking, he glanced at Tangjing with a smile that was not a smile. Tangjing's head moved. Why was it this black-bellied woman again? Last time in the 10,000 huge mountains, he had finally gotten rid of her with great difficulty, and had even exposed his identity as a cultivator in front of her. Why did she appear in the capital so coincidentally? Tangjing was very clear that as long as the other party appeared, things would not be simple. Her thoughts were even more complicated than martial arts, and she was good at scheming and moody. Who are you? The demon god stared at Li Xiaoyan and asked in bewilderment. I'm just a passerby. I saw that you guys were fighting so enthusiastically, so I came to join in the fun. Li Xiaotian said while beaming. Joining in the fun will cost you your life. Since you are also a martial artist, then I will kill you without hesitation. The demon god's body trembled, and he used the demon blood devouring soul technique again, causing the blood mist to fill the air. Although Li Xiaotian had never seen the power of the blood mist, since he knew that the other party was a cultivator, he directly believed that the blood mist must be very dangerous. Thus, she leaped and flew directly over the demon god's head, her fingers slightly hooked. Clang. With a crisp sound, the iron arrow that was nailed into the wall flew out by itself, turning around and shooting towards the demon god. Spell! The demon god was shocked, and even Tangjing could not help but widen his eyes. The iron arrow had clearly shot into the wall, so why did it fly out by itself? However, both of them rejected this idea at the same time. This was not a spell because Li Xiaotian was a martial artist, so it was impossible for her to use a spell. It was because there was a thin thread at the end of the iron sword, and the other end of the thin thread was in Li Xiaotian's hand. Therefore, although the iron arrow was shot out, it was still under the control of Li Xiaotian, so it could be reused. The iron arrow shot towards the demon god, but the demon god did not retreat. Instead, he advanced, and with a flash of red light, the blood blade slashed at the iron arrow, and with another slash, he directly cut into the void at the end of the arrow. An extremely subtle sound of air vibrations was heard, which was the effect of the thin thread breaking. Without control, the iron arrow fell to the ground, losing its threat. The demon god snorted disdainfully, "Petty tricks." He waved his hands forward, and the blood mist surged like a ferocious beast, spreading towards Li Xiaoyan. Li Xiaotian chuckled. He was not afraid, but instead hid behind Tang Jing in a flash and said softly, "It's all up to you now." Tang Jing felt a headache coming on. This woman really did not have good intentions. She actually brought the flames of war to him. Facing the attack of the demon god, he could not possibly ignore it. In addition, Wu was still eyeing him covetously from not too far away. If he used the War Soul Sword or Heaven-Shocking Bow, then Wu would definitely see through his identity. For the time being, he did not want to draw the anger of the martial sect onto himself. Thus, he could only use his bare hands to push forward with both palms. Whoosh whoosh. The wind from his palm whistled, blocking the blood mist. The demon god was puzzled. Why wasn't this brat afraid of his move? How did you do it? Tang Zheng was extremely vexed. Please don't dwell on this question, and don't speak carelessly. If you speak too much, it will be bad if you arouse Wu's suspicion. Thus, he took the initiative to attack, forcing the demon god to shut up. Brat, you're courting death. Seeing that, the demon god roared nonstop. Although he did not know why this brat was so strange and different from the rest, he still had absolute confidence in killing him. Immediately, the two of them started to fight in the midst of the withering blood. Fortunately, the blood mist was everywhere, and Wu could not see the details, so he did not suspect Tang Zheng's identity. But even so, she was still shocked. She originally thought that an insignificant fellow actually had such strength to be able to tangle with the demon god for so long. Actually, Tang Zheng's cultivation was obviously not a match for the demon god. Furthermore, he did not have the help of the War Soul Sword or the Heaven-Shocking Bow, so he was even less of a match for the demon god. However, he was a cultivator after all, and the demon god had always treated Tang Zheng as a warrior. As a result, Tang Zheng was able to capture a lot of useful information from the trajectory of the demon god's attacks, and was able to avoid some fatal injuries. However, even so, Tang Zheng was still in a sorry state as he fled in all directions. Li Xiaotian, on the other hand, held onto his iron bow and watched the scene with interest. He praised in his heart, "Tang Zheng is really not human. It has only been a while since I last saw him, and his cultivation has obviously been injured by another level. Could it be that cultivators are so powerful when they cultivate? Didn't they say that the spirit chi of heaven and earth in this world was thin, and that the cultivation of cultivators was very slow? Why is this brat so ferocious as if he has eaten aphrodisiac?" Of course, Tang Zheng did not know what Li Xiaotian was thinking, but without a weapon, it was equivalent to him tying his own feet, and it was impossible for him to defeat the demon god. The demon god's attacks became fiercer and fiercer. Tang Zheng was already starting to get injured. He could not help but fly into a rage and shouted, "Li Xiaotian, do you want to just watch me get killed?" The corner of Li Xiaotian's mouth curled up. He thought to himself, "Who told you to steal my heaven-shocking bow? This bit of suffering is just interest. It's too insignificant." When Marshall heard this, he was inexplicably shocked. This Tang Zheng actually knew Li Xiaotian. One must know that as the holy maiden of the Li Palace, Li Xiaotian could not easily leave the Li Palace. There were very few people who knew her, much less men. The people of Li Palace had an innate hostility towards men. "Tang Zheng, give me my things and I'll help you," Li Xiaotian said with a smile. "You're taking advantage of the situation. Aya, you're really smart. You even found out about this." Li Xiaotian exaggeratedly covered her mouth and exclaimed. Chapter 329. If I die, you really won't be able to find that thing for the rest of your life. Tell the pavilion master, Tang Jing said. Li Xiaotian frowned and muttered to himself, "That's right, that means you can't die yet. But you're so cunning I helped you, and you want to act shamelessly again. What should I do?" Tang Jing said snappily, "Do you want to help or not?" It was definitely not normal for Li Xiaotian to appear here. Tang Jing smelled a conspiracy, and why would Marshall appear so coincidentally? There must be a demon behind this abnormality. He suspected that all of this was most likely related to Li Xiaotian. This woman's thoughts were too complicated, and ordinary people would not be able to guess them. But no matter what she was planning, he could not reveal his identity as a cultivator under Marshall's nose. Seeing that the demon god was attacking again, Tang Jing did not resist anymore. His hands drooped down and looked at Li Xiaotian provocatively. "Ha, die." The demon god laughed sinisterly. The blood blade flashed with a red light, and with killing intent, it pierced towards Tang Zheng's chest. Marshall was shocked by this scene, but she could not protect herself, so she could not do anything. Li Xiaoan was so angry that he blew his eyebrows and glared, and said angrily, "Tang Zheng, you're shameless." However, the movements of his hands did not stop. He knocked an arrow on his bow, and 3 arrows were knocked on the bowstring. The bowstring trembled, and 3 arrows pierced through the air. From this point, it could be seen that Li Xiaoyan was definitely an expert in archery. No wonder she had such a soft spot for the heaven-shocking bow. The demon god could have killed Tang Zheng with this attack, but he could not ignore the 3 iron arrows behind him. With an unwilling roar, he turned around and faced the 3 iron arrows. The 3 iron arrows attacked from the top, middle, and bottom, and were incomparably sharp. At the same time, Tang Jing was not idle either. He pounced towards the demon god, and the attacks from the front and back made the demon god even angrier. To think that he would be in such a sorry state by a few martial warriors, it was simply a great humiliation. Clang, clang, clang. The 3 arrows were blocked, but then Li Xiaoyan's hands moved, quickly pulling the bowstring. Every time she released the bowstring, an iron arrow would shoot out, and in the blink of an eye, she had unleashed a chain of arrows, 9 iron arrows, one after another, covering the sky and the earth, enveloping the demon god. With a wolf in front and a tiger behind him, the demon god's back. "I'm going to kill all of you martial warriors, none of you will survive." Bang! Tang Zheng slapped the back of the demon god, causing the demon god to stagger forward. The rain of arrows that filled the sky also arrived on time. The demon god waved his blood blade, and a wall of blood light interweaved into a blood light to block the rain of arrows. Tang Zheng to say, Tang Zheng to Tang Zheng to say, Tang Zheng to do of Tang. Who is it that came to the capital to cause trouble? Suddenly, a heaven-shaking roar exploded, and a person descended from the sky. The demon god was shocked. He raised his head to look at the person who came. He immediately removed the wall of light and turned to escape. "Where do you think you're going?" The person chased after them like a shadow, and the 2 of them disappeared in the blink of an eye. The situation was constantly changing. No one had expected that a peerless expert would suddenly appear and actually scare the demon god away. With a glance, Tang Zheng recognized the person. The other party was actually Yan Qishan, a dignified expert of the great master realm. Tang Zheng did not want to have too much contact with Yan Qishan, so he turned around and walked out of the alley, passing by Wu. Li Xiaotian immediately chased after him, and when he passed by Wu, he said, "You are injured. Quickly go and heal your injuries, otherwise, how will you deal with cultivators in the future?" Wu's face darkened, and he walked away without saying a word. Li Xiaotian chased after Tang Zheng and asked, "Why are you running so fast? Are you trying to get rid of me again?" "I still have to go to class." Tang Zheng said coldly, I almost forgot that you're still a student, but before you go to class, return my things to me." Li Xiaotian spread out his hands and said, "What do I owe you?" "Heaven-shocking bow." "Didn't I say it before? I left it in the prehistoric heavenly tomb. If you want it, go find it." You're still trying to lie to me. Although I don't know how you brought the heaven-shocking bow out, I'm sure that the heaven-shocking bow is in your hands. Hurry up and give it to me." "The heaven-shocking bow isn't yours. Why should I give it to you?" "You." Li Xiaotian was furious, but after thinking about it, there was no way he could force him like this, so he could only take it slow. "Since he couldn't return so quickly after coming out this time, I'll stay by your side and find clues about the heaven-shocking bow." Thus, a cunning smile appeared in her eyes as she said, "I've never been to school before. It wasn't easy for me to come to university this time, so I'll go and take a look as well. I'll accompany you to class." Li Xiaotian disassembled the iron bow into its components, then placed it into the bag on his back along with the iron arrow, and said, "Let's go, lead the way." Tang Zheng could not help but roll his eyes and said, "Who promised you that I would bring you to class?" Since you don't give me the heaven-shocking bow, I'll follow you until you give it to me. Li Xiaotian shrugged and said, how could Tang Jing be intimidated by her formation? He said, if you want to follow me, then follow me. With that, he strode towards the campus, but before he could take a few steps, he was stopped by Yan Qishan, who had returned. He smiled faintly and greeted, Tang Jing, long time no see. Long time no see. Did you catch up to him? Yan Qishan shook his head. Cultivators are indeed cunning, he escaped. Li Xiaoan agreed upon hearing that, yes, cultivators are extremely cunning, they are simply despicable. As he spoke, he looked at Tang Jing as if he was referring to something. Tang Jing obviously knew that she was scolding him indirectly, so he pretended not to hear it. Yan Qishan did not understand the meaning of this sentence, and smiled at Li Xiaoyan. Holy maiden, since you have come to the capital, our Yan family should do our part as a host. If the holy maiden does not mind, can you move to the Dragon Elephant Mountain? Hearing that, Tang Jing guessed that the Yan family must have a good relationship with the Li Palace. If Li Xiaotian followed Yan Qishan and left, he would simply clap his hands and cheer. But Li Xiaotian clearly did not let him do as he wished. She shook her head without hesitation and refused. I still have things to do, I want to follow this guy. She pointed at Tang Jing. Yan Qishan was greatly astonished. He did not know why the holy maiden of the Li Palace had such a complicated relationship with Tang Jing. This little brat really could not be underestimated. Moreover, from the information brought back by Yan Qingyi, Tang Jing had contact with the martial organization. At such a young age, he actually had contact with two of the three most mysterious organizations in the world. It was truly hard to imagine. Yan Qishan could not help but look at Tang Jing a few more times, but he found that he was becoming more and more unable to see through him. Li Shan, the Yan family is a large family. They invited you with great hospitality. It is not appropriate for you to not give face. Tang Jing said. Li Xiaotian rolled her eyes at him and said, do you need to care about my matters? Where I go is my freedom, outsiders have no right to interfere. Yan Qishan immediately smiled and said, what the holy maiden said is extremely correct. The Yan family naturally will not interfere with the holy maiden's freedom. If the holy maiden has free time, please come to Longxiang Mountain for a chat. After he finished speaking, he deeply looked at Tang Jing and sighed in his heart. This little brat's courage was really not ordinary. He actually dared to ridicule Li Xiaotian. Just what was the relationship between the two of them? Seeing that Yan Qishan had left, Tang Jing continued to walk towards the campus. Li Xiaotian was like a burden, blindly following him. The combination of the two attracted the gazes of many people. In the school, Tang Jing could be considered a small celebrity. After all, the matter of him challenging the Bushido Society yesterday was witnessed by many people. Then, it spread by word of mouth, becoming the topic of many people's leisure conversations. Moreover, the scandal between Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang was also spread like wildfire, making many male students jealous. What was hateful was that this guy's luck with women seemed to be a bit too good. This time, he actually strolled around the campus with another beauty that did not lose out to Yi Dingdang. At this time, many people were about to go crazy. This brat was eating from the bowl and looking at the pot. Moreover, he was doing it openly without any concealment. He was too arrogant. Many people looked at Tang Jing with eyes full of hostility. I think your popularity is really bad. Look at the way others look at you, as if they can't wait to eat you alive. Li Xiaotian teased with interest. Tang Jing said, isn't it all because of you? He coldly snorted and ignored her. When he walked into the teaching building, the bell rang for class. Tang Jing walked towards the classroom, and immediately, the entire classroom's attention was attracted. The students of Archaeology Class 1 had complicated feelings towards Tang Jing. There was nothing they could do about it. The things that Tang Jing had done were too shocking. Especially that confrontation with the police. Many people in this class had seen it with their own eyes, and yesterday's one-on-one incident had made him even more famous. The archaeology department was the smallest department in the entire school, and most of them were bookworms. For a long time, Their presence in the school had not been strong. However, this year, a monstrous figure had appeared. Many seniors were asking them about the deeds of Tang Zheng. Many people wanted to see the number one person in the archaeology department with their own eyes. Yes, Tang Zheng was already recognized as the number one person in the archaeology department. No one doubted this, because he was too eye-catching, far exceeding the scope of common knowledge of ordinary students. Therefore, most of the students did not have any ill feelings towards Tang Zheng. Instead, they felt that it was an honor for the archaeology department to have such a fierce person. It was an honor to be able to increase the reputation of the archaeology department. However, today's scene had once again shocked their minds. Everyone watched in disbelief as a top-notch beauty followed Tang Zheng into the classroom and followed him to his seat. The members of Class 502 had already occupied Tang Zheng's seat. Tang Zheng walked straight over and sat down, while Sinosaurus and the other two were still staring blankly at Li Shaoan. Li Shaoan pointed at Sinosaurus and said, "Stand up and sit aside." "Why should I give you my seat?" Tang Zheng asked unhappily. "If I don't sit in his seat, where should I sit?" Li Shaotian asked. Sinosaurus laughed. "It's all right, Beauty, please sit." He quickly stood up. "Beauty, are you from our class? Why haven't I seen you before?" "She's not a student, so just ignore her. She's just a burden," Tang Zheng ridiculed. Chapter 330. Tang Zheng, don't spout nonsense. "I've never been to school." "I'm not a burden," Li Shaotian corrected him. Everyone around them perked up their ears. When they heard that Li Shaotian had never been to school, they all looked at him in disbelief. After all, Li Shaoyan was about the same age as the others and had an outstanding aura. "It's exactly because I've never been to school that I want to experience it. This is the best university in the country. I'd like to attend one of your classes." "Welcome, welcome," Sinosaurus said excitedly while winking at Tang Zheng. He seemed to be asking him to tell the truth. Where did he go to kidnap such a beautiful girl? As for Tang Zheng's luck with women, have all the members of 502 passed away? The bespectacled man nodded and said, "The specific author of this painting is no longer known. However, it is inferred that it was painted by a master painter 1,500 years ago. Legend has it that he saw a fairy descending from the 9 heavens and used that as inspiration to paint this painting." "This student is right. Sit down," Qi Shaoan praised. "This painting has been passed down to this day. Since ancient times, there have been very few forgeries of this painting because no one has been able to fully express the charm of the painting. In the original painting, the fairy descending to the mortal world is full of spiritual energy. It's as if a real person is standing in front of you." "Wow, is it really that amazing? Do fairies really exist in this world?" Many people were discussing. Qi Shaoan smiled gently and the wrinkles on his face eased slightly. He said, "Some of you may think that I'm exaggerating, but I want to tell you that this is not an exaggeration. It's the truth. This painting is now kept in the National Museum and is not on display. I've seen it a few times and every time I see it, it's as if a fairy is standing in front of me. It's an indescribable feeling." Hearing his words, the crowd was even more amazed. They thought that if they were lucky enough to see this painting, it would be the greatest blessing of 3 lifetimes. "It's just a forgery. It's almost blown to the sky." Someone snorted disdainfully. This voice wasn't soft, it was crisp and penetrating. Everyone heard it. Immediately, everyone looked towards the source of the voice and discovered that the owner of the voice was actually Li Shaotian. Qi Shaoan's face darkened. He glared at Li Shaoan and said, "What did you say?" "I said, you said that the 9 Heavens Maids painting in the National Museum is a fake," Li Shaotian said in a shocking tone. Tang Zheng was also startled by her actions. She was really a troublemaker. He hurriedly tugged at her sleeves and said, "You're not a student. Pay attention to the class and don't interrupt." "He's wrong, I'm just correcting him. I have good intentions, I don't want him to continue down the wrong path," Li Shaotian solemnly vowed. Seeing her boasting so shamelessly, Tang Jing could only shake his head and smile bitterly. Li Xiaotian was good at lying. Her words were probably 90% false and 1% true. It was difficult to distinguish the truth from the lies. Therefore, Tang Jing did not know why she made such a fuss. Both of you stand up. Seeing Tang Jing and Li Xiaotian whispering to each other, Qi Shaoan immediately flew into a rage. He hated it when students spouted nonsense about things they did not understand. Archaeology required rigorous spirit, not sensationalism. Moreover, she dared to say that the painting in the museum was a fake. This was equivalent to challenging his reputation. He had seen the painting and was certain that it was authentic. If this person dared to question the painting, it was the same as questioning him. How could he tolerate this? Tang Zheng was caught in the crossfire. He thought to himself, what does it have to do with me? However, he still stood up. Li Xiaotian, on the other hand, continued to sit as if nothing had happened. Why are you still sitting? Stand up. Qi Shaoan shouted in a deep voice. I corrected your mistake. Instead of thanking me, you want me to stand up. How dare you? Li Xiaotian stood up and said angrily. This sentence was so powerful that the others did not know whether to laugh or cry. Girl, I admit that you are very beautiful. However, this kind of academic problem is not something that can be solved by a face and a figure. Why do you have to spout nonsense like this? Hey, are you telling the truth or not? Tang Zheng could not figure out what was on her mind. Seeing that she was angry and did not seem to be faking it, he asked in a low voice. Of course I'm telling the truth. Do I have to lie? Li Xiaotian said angrily. Stop mumbling. Speak loudly. As a student of the archaeology department, you dare to spout such baseless nonsense. Humph, this is the first time I've seen such a thing in all my years of teaching, Qi Shaoan said angrily. Li Xiaotian could not take it anymore. She retorted loudly, Who said that I have no evidence? I said that the painting in the museum is fake. Of course it is fake. Moreover, I have real evidence. The others' interest was piqued. They stared at Li Xiaotian intently, waiting to see what she could say. Zhou Yan asked quietly, Third brother, who is this person you brought with you? Why is she so arrogant? Tang Jing shook his head and smiled bitterly. He could only wait and see. Qi Shan was so angry that he laughed and said, Fine, show me your so-called real evidence. I'd like to see it for myself and broaden my horizons. Then I'll broaden your horizons, Li Xiaotian said. That fake painting is indeed good enough to pass off as the real thing. However, a fake is a fake. It can never replace the real thing. The imitator deliberately left a flaw in the painting. It's just that the later generations were too stupid to notice this flaw. Qi Shaoan's face flushed red again. Naturally, he was included in the list of stupid later generations. He believed that no one would be happy to be called stupid by a person who was old enough to be his granddaughter. He took a few deep breaths to suppress the anger in his heart. He asked, What exactly is the flaw? Tang Zheng heard Li Xiaoyan's words and could not help but believe her. She did not have to provoke an old man whom she did not know. Therefore, his interest was piqued. He wanted to know what her so-called flaw was. Look at the bottom right corner of this painting. The jade pendant hanging from the waist has no words on it. However, the fake one has the word Li on it, Li Xiaotian said. Qi Shaoan was stunned for a moment. Then he laughed and said, This is your so-called flaw? What a joke. At first, Deng Shaoan thought that there was a flaw in the painting when he saw how confident Qi Shaoan was. He did not expect Qi Shaoan to say something like that. The others were curious. They did not know what Qi Shaoan's laughter meant. Qi Shaoan stopped smiling and said in a low voice, Let me tell you, your so-called flaws are all fabricated. Woolly, character. You're lying to those who haven't seen that painting. I've seen that painting more than 10 times. There's no Li character on that jade pendant at all. But everyone looked at Li Xiaotian with complicated gazes. It turned out that what she had said for a long time was actually a lie. However, Tang Zheng's feeling was completely different. Although Li Xiaotian was usually full of nonsense, at this moment, Tang Zheng believed that what she said was true. This was a feeling. Li Xiaotian seemed to have expected this. she said calmly. That's why I said you're stupid. It's been 200 years and no one has discovered this flaw. Let me tell you how to verify it. Believe it or not. Go find some water and sprinkle it on the jade pendant. Later, you can see if the word is on it. Sprinkle water? Everyone was dumbfounded. This kind of ancient painting could be considered a national treasure. Everyone was eager to protect it. Who would be willing to sprinkle water on it? Crazy, absolutely crazy, Qi Shaoan muttered incessantly. Li Xiaotian chuckled. She did not comment. This was the first time Qi Shaoan had encountered such a situation. Perhaps it was Li Xiaotian's confident expression that provoked him. He decided to convince this student wholeheartedly. He said, "Wait here. I'll make a phone call right away. If the so-called Li character doesn't appear, you'll fail this course." Qi Shaoan stormed out of the classroom to make the phone call. Meanwhile, the classroom was in an uproar. Chapter 331. Everyone was whispering and discussing spiritedly. This class was truly unexpected. Everyone was very curious as to what the final result would be. However, most people still believed Qi Shaoan's words. After all, his words represented authority in the field of archaeology. Zhou Yan and a few others came up and asked worriedly, "Third brother, who is this beauty? How dare she talk back to Professor Qi? Don't you know that he's famous for his stubbornness? He even dared to talk back to the principal. You're in for it now." Tang Jing glanced at Li Xiaotian and smiled mysteriously. That might not be the case. "Oh, do you believe this beauty's words? Is the National Museum's Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting real or fake?" A few people were surprised. This time, Tang Jing did believe Li Xiaotian. He said, "We'll see in a while." Li Xiaoan heard this and said teasingly, "Didn't you always doubt me? Why do you believe me now?" "It's just a feeling." Li Xiaotian smiled faintly. "So your teacher isn't that great after all. I thought all the teachers in the university were amazing. You can't tell the difference between real and fake." Qi Shaoan walked in and happened to hear this sentence. His face flushed red, but he did not say anything to stop them. However, the complicated expression on his face was obvious to the observant. Qi Shaoan walked straight to Li Xiaotian and asked in a deep voice, "May I ask how you know that the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting is fake?" As soon as he said this, everyone suddenly realized that this beauty was right. The National Museum's collection over the years was all fake. This was a big joke. "Because I've seen the real thing." "Of course, I know that the others are fake," Li Xiaotian said calmly. "You've seen the real thing?" Qi Shaoan's expression changed and he became agitated. "Where is the real thing?" Li Xiaotian said with a smile that was not a smile. "So you admit that the Nine Heavens Maids painting in the museum is a fake?" Qi Shaoan took a deep breath and nodded reluctantly. "Academics are rigorous. Although I'm reluctant to admit it, I have to admit that you're right. When the jade pendant in the painting was soaked with water, the word Li would appear. According to ancient records, this is impossible. Just like what you said, it could only be a flaw left behind by a later imitator. Although you're stubborn, at least you dare to speak the truth. Since that's the case, I'll satisfy your curiosity. 200 years ago, the painting of Maids of the Nine Heavens was obtained by a scholar. He was the creator of this fake painting, but he gave the real one to someone else. Who did you give it to? What does that Li character represent? Is it the name of this scholar? What is his name?" Qi Shaoan ignored Li Xiaotian's comment about his stubbornness. Instead, he was like a studious student, humbly asking for advice. "I can only tell you that the Li character is not the scholar's name. As for the scholar's name, I don't know either. Also, I can't tell you anything else," Li Xiaotian said firmly. Qi Shaoan said stubbornly, "If we can figure this out, it will be a big deal for the archaeology world. Student, please don't keep it to yourself." Li Xiaotian firmly shook her head. The original copy of the painting of Maids of the Nine Heavens was in the Li Palace. Speaking of the origin of this painting, it involved the first palace master of the Li Palace, who was also the founder of the Li Palace. Back then, the first palace master of Li Palace fell in love with a scholar. The scholar gave her his precious painting of maids of the 9 heavens as a token of his love. This scholar was also a genius. He actually made a copy of the painting of maids of the 9 heavens, and its artistic value was not as good as the original. However, he purposely left a flaw, which was that Li character, which was one of the palace master of Li Palace's name. However, good times did not last long. This scholar eventually found a new love and abandoned her, breaking the palace master of Li Palace's heart. From then on, the palace master of Li Palace and the scholar separated, creating the mysterious palace master of Li Palace. There were no men in Li Palace, because the palace master of Li Palace was hurt by love and hated men. He did not allow any men to set foot in Li Palace. If I say I won't tell you, then I won't tell you. It's useless even if you try to persuade me. Li Xiaotian was firm. This was the first time Qi Shaoan had ever begged someone so humbly. Moreover, it was his own student. If you let me see the original painting of maids of the 9 heavens, then even if you don't come to this class in the future, I will still give you high marks. Hearing this, the others were envious. It was said that this class was the most difficult. With this promise, wouldn't it be great in the future? Unexpectedly, Li Xiaotian still refused. She was not a student of this class in the first place. Why would she care about high marks? Qi Shaoan was at his wit's end. He hung his head dejectedly, like a defeated general. He shook his head and said, "You guys sit down." Then he walked back to the podium. "Can't you just let him see it?" Tang Zheng persuaded. Li Xiaotian curled her lips and said, "That painting is in Li Palace's collection. I've only seen it a few times since I was young. Usually, only the palace master has the right to see it. How can I let him see it?" Tang Zheng said, "No wonder." However, he was also very curious about the painting. He asked, "Then what's the deal with this painting?" "I can't tell you." Qi Shaoan continued his lecture. However, it was obvious that he was in low spirits. He seemed a little out of it. It was not until he took out 2 ancient bronze artifacts that he regained some of his spirit. These are bronze masks made by the ancient people 3,000 years ago. What do you think is the difference? Qi Shaoan asked. Everyone focused their attention on the bronze masks. Both masks were slightly modeled and had the characteristics of ancient artifacts. Moreover, the masks themselves had a ferocious expression. They looked like some kind of ferocious beast, which made people feel a little guilty at first glance. This mask is a kind of worship that the ancient people had for totems. The ferocious beast on this mask was the object of their worship. Usually, this mask would only be worn during large-scale sacrificial ceremonies. This mask was found in an ancient tomb 30 years ago. It has great archaeological and aesthetic value. However, I have to say that one of these 2 masks is a fake. I wonder if anyone can tell the difference. Qi Shaoan looked at Li Xiaotian expectantly. The others also looked at Li Xiaotian in unison, hoping that she could create a miracle and tell the difference. However, Li Xiaotian subconsciously shook her head. Obviously, she could not tell the difference. However, when she turned her head, she saw Tang Zheng staring at the mask. "Hey, what are you looking at? You look so serious." Li Xiaotian asked curiously. Tang Zheng's eyes looked like they were about to sink into the bronze mask. He could not help but be surprised because he saw a stream of air flowing slowly inside one of the bronze masks. Moreover, that bronze mask had an ancient aura. However, the other bronze mask did not have the slightest difference. It was no different from an ordinary bronze mask. Could it be that the one with the stream of air is the real thing? Tang Zheng mused. Qi Shaoan saw Li Xiaoyan shake her head and could not help but look regretful. He then glanced at the others and found that most of them had their heads lowered, as if they were afraid that he would pick them to answer the question. No, there was one exception. This person was staring at the bronze mask without blinking. He seemed very interested and could not hide the surprise in his eyes. Wasn't this the boy who had been whispering to Li Xiaoan? Qi Shaoan's heart was filled with anticipation. He pointed at Tang Zheng and said, "Tell me, which one of these 2 is the real thing?" Tang Zheng pointed at the mask without hesitation and said, "This one." His firm tone stunned Qi Shaoan. How did you know? Intuition. Intuition? Qi Shaoan frowned. Many of the others snorted. It was just a wild guess. Qi Shaoan also guessed that this must be a wild guess. However, he guessed right. He nodded and said, "You're lucky. This one is the real thing." However, looking at the serious expression on Tang Zheng's face, Qi Shaoan's heart skipped a beat. He said, "You can't just rely on your intuition to identify antiques. You need to know the history and relevant knowledge. If you get it right once or twice, it's just luck. It's not real skill." Li Xiaotian was not convinced. She retorted, "Sometimes intuition is much more useful than all those random knowledge. For example, you know so much. How come you can't identify the authenticity of the Ladies of the Nine Heavens painting?" Qi Shaoan blushed and said, "Student, you can't say that. It's a compulsory course for ancient examiners to know the relevant professional knowledge. How can you just rely on your intuition? I've been in this profession for my whole life and I've never heard of anyone who can identify antiques based on their intuition." Li Xiaotian continued, "Others can't do it, but that doesn't mean he can't. Tang Zheng, am I right?" She winked at him. Tang Zheng's heart was shocked. F***ck, he was once again tricked by this black-bellied woman. She was a fraud. What she said was clearly putting him on the fire to roast. Her intentions were truly hateful. "Sure enough," Qi Shaoan said indignantly, "you said he can identify antiques based on his intuition, right? Well, I'll verify it today. Everyone can see clearly that archaeology is not based on intuition. It requires real knowledge as the foundation." The others were secretly satisfied. This class was full of twists and turns. They thought it would be peaceful, but they didn't expect to see such a scene. They all looked at Tang Zheng curiously. Everyone was full of expectations for the number one person in the archaeology department. They wondered if he could create another miracle. However, most people thought it was unlikely that a miracle would happen. After all, it was impossible to guess blindly based on intuition. Wang Shiji advised with concern, "Lao San, there's no need to argue with Professor Qi. Otherwise, you'll fail at the end of the term. If you can really identify antiques based on your intuition, then you don't need to attend my class. I'll definitely give you a high score at the end of the term." Qi Shaoan threw out a huge bait. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. This old professor was so difficult to deal with. It would be difficult to skip his class in the future. If he could get this exemption, then he could use the time in this class to do other things in the future. Chapter 332. Everyone else stared at Tang Zheng in disbelief, wondering if he was joking. Was he really trying to judge the authenticity of an antique by feeling? All right, then I'll prove that you're wrong. Qi Shaoan took out a few more items from the box. There were 2 porcelain bowls, 2 small incense burners, and 2 short knives. He said, "Judge for yourself. Besides, I can let you walk over and take a look. You can also touch them with your hands." Tang Zheng was eager to try. He strode up to the podium and laid out the items one by one in front of him. "I don't believe that you'll be able to get them all right by guessing." Qi Shaoan said, "One of these 3 antiques is a fake, while the other is the real deal." Tang Zheng nodded calmly. He had already seen through the clues. These 3 antiques did not have the aura of the bronze mask, but he could feel the vicissitudes of history. Huh, why is the bronze mask the only one with aura? Tang Zheng was surprised. Even without the aura, he could tell if the mask was real or fake. The vicissitudes of history could not be faked. Ordinary people would not be able to perceive the vicissitudes of history because their senses were not as sharp as Tang Zheng's. As his cultivation level increased, his perception of the outside world became sharper and clearer. Tang Zheng held the bronze mask suspiciously. The aura on the mask swooshed into Tang Zheng's hand and heart, then quickly flowed into his body through his meridians. Ah, what's going on? However, the aura was not threatening at all. Instead, it was mixed with a cooling sensation, which made Tang Zheng feel very comfortable. Finally, the aura merged into his energy center and transformed into true qi, filling his body with true qi. Huh, this aura can be transformed into true qi. Tang Zheng was overjoyed. But what's so special about this bronze mask? Why don't the other 3 antiques have any aura? How do you feel? Can you tell which one is real and which one is fake? Qi Shaoan asked. Seeing that Tang Zheng was silent, the crowd began to whisper. Is he deliberately mystifying? Judging by his senses? I've never heard of anything like that. I think he won't be able to guess it. That's not necessarily true. Tang Zheng can create miracles every time. Maybe he can do it this time too. The crowd was divided into 2 groups, and they all stared at Tang Zheng with burning eyes. Tang Zheng abruptly raised his head and glanced at Qi Shaoan. The corners of his mouth curled into a smile. He quickly picked out the 3 authentic ones and said confidently, "These 3 are authentic." Qi Shaoan's expression suddenly changed. He stared at Tang Zheng as if he was looking at a monster. He exclaimed, "How is this possible? How did you do it?" Tang Zheng smiled mysteriously. "It's a feeling." Qi Shaoan was skeptical. "Did you really just rely on your instincts?" Tang Zheng nodded. Qi Shaoan was still in disbelief. He quickly took out a few more items from the box and said, "These aren't the same. They're all different kinds of antiques. Some of them are real, some are fake. Take a look and see which ones are authentic." Tang Zheng swept his eyes over them and found that not a single one of them had a flow of air inside, but there were a few that gave off a sense of vicissitudes, so he casually pointed at the antiques and said, "These are the real thing, the rest are all fakes." The others watched as he identified the antiques as if they were vegetables. It was an eye-opener. Their eyes were wide open and they could not help but hold their breaths. They stared at Qi Shaoan intently, hoping that he would reveal the truth. Qi Shaoan was shocked at first, especially when Tang Zheng did not point out any of the antiques. His expression turned serious. However, when Tang Zheng pointed out the last antique, his expression turned strange. This antique was a small, exquisite pagoda. It was cast in iron and the carvings were exquisite. It even looked new and shiny. A smile gradually appeared on Qi Shaoan's face. In the end, he could not help but laugh. "Haha, do you really think your instincts are reliable? Let me tell you, you're dead wrong. Archaeology requires professional knowledge. You can't just fool around with your feelings. You're still too young. Young people tend to be conceited. Conceit leads to pride. Pride leads to mistakes." Tang Zheng looked at him suspiciously. "What do you mean?" Qi Shaoan picked up the pagoda and asked, "Are you saying this is an authentic antique?" Tang Zheng could clearly sense the vicissitudes of life in the pagoda. It was just like the other antiques. He nodded. "Of course it is." Qi Shaoan's expression became very interesting. He looked like a child showing off his favorite toy. "You're wrong. This is definitely not an authentic antique. It's a fake." "A fake?" Tang Zheng activated his internal energy. His eyes and ears sharpened. He could indeed sense an ancient aura from the pagoda. It was even stronger than the other antiques. Therefore, it should be an antique from an even older era. There was no mistaking this feeling. It could not be faked. "No, this is definitely an authentic antique," Tang Zheng said with certainty. Qi Shaoan shook his head confidently. "It's okay if you're wrong. This is the unanimous judgment of a few of us old friends. This is definitely a fake. So keep your feelings to yourself. If you miss any of this class in the future, don't even think about passing the semester." The others looked at Tang Zheng with mixed feelings. Even the most amazing person in the Department of Archaeology who was good at creating miracles had failed. It seemed that his feelings were not reliable. It was better for him to focus on learning professional knowledge. However, Tang Zheng did not believe him. He insisted, "I'll continue to stand by my judgment. This is definitely an antique. And it's even older than the other antiques you have." After saying that, he returned to his seat. Although he did not get the chance to be exempted from the class, Tang Zheng was sure of one thing. That was, the airflow in some antiques could help him improve his cultivation. However, he could not figure out what the unique characteristics of these antiques were. He still needed to study them carefully. Li Xiaotian pursed her lips and teased. Weren't you very confident? Why did you still fail? Facing this two-faced woman who was good at digging holes, Tang Jing said impatiently, It's all your fault. Li Xiaoan, are you really going to follow me forever? Of course. If you don't return my things to me, I'll follow you forever. Well then you'll follow me forever. It's best if you go back to the boys' dormitory with me and sleep together. Sleep your big head ghost. Men are indeed not good things. Palace Master's usual teachings are indeed wise words. Li Xiaotian said indignantly. Ring ring ring. The bell rang for the end of class. Qi Shaoan packed up his belongings and carefully put them back into the box. He gave Li Xiaotian a complicated look, then glanced at Tang Jing proudly. Finally, he strode out of the classroom. As soon as he returned to his office, his phone rang. Old Wei, what's the matter? Qi Shaoan asked. Old Qi, I found something new about the thing we discussed last time. What is it? That Twinkle Gem Pagoda. Didn't we discuss it for a long time before deciding that it was made in modern times? Actually, it's not. I finally found the origin of this Twinkle Gem Pagoda. It was made by a master craftsman more than 1,000 years ago. It was a tribute to the royal family. However, it was lost during the tribute. Only an ancient book recorded this and even had a picture attached to it. That's the Twinkle Gem Pagoda we discussed. Old Wei said excitedly. Obviously, this discovery was too unexpected. Qi Shaoan quickly took out the Twinkle Gem Pagoda from the box and looked at it carefully. He asked doubtfully, Is what you said true? Of course. We've known each other for so many years. When have I ever lied to you? Qi Shaoan's expression changed abruptly. He dashed to the office and ran to the classroom at the speed of a 100-meter race. Along the way, the teachers and students were stunned. Was this Professor Qi? The Professor Qi who was known for his rigor? Why was he running like a madman? Was he not afraid of falling and injuring himself with his old arms and legs? Bang! Qi Shaoan pushed the classroom door open and found that it was empty. The archaeology class was over and everyone had left. There was no one left. What's that kid's name? Qi Shaoan frowned and slapped his head. Oh, I forgot to ask. I'm so old and muddle-headed. How could I forget such important information? How did that kid do it? How could he be so sure that the Twinkle Gem Pagoda is authentic? Did he really rely on his intuition? Qi Shaoan was deeply shocked. Relying on his intuition? He thought it was too unbelievable. He had been in this line of work all his life and he had never heard of such a thing. He must have a knack for it. I must find this kid. His eyes gradually became determined. After a while, he laughed again. Ah, God has eyes. I finally found a talented guy. This kid must be carefully trained. Yes, he must be carefully trained. This is the future star of the archaeology world. He was so excited that he was speechless. He had completely forgotten that he had just rejected Tang Jing. Hey, old Qi, what's wrong with you? You're laughing and talking about the future star? Why do you feel like you've gone crazy? Old Wei's voice sounded from the phone. Qi Shaoan laughed heartily. Old friend, I've finally found the most talented student I've ever seen in my life. That's right, I'm definitely going to take him under my wing. I won't let anyone else steal such a genius away from me. What kind of genius are you talking about? Nothing, nothing. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Qi Shaoan slammed the phone down and muttered, This old guy has been looking for a favorite student to inherit his skills for a long time. I must not let him find that kid. Ha, that kid is mine. No, there's no time to lose. I can't let this kind of genius slip away. I must go to the school and ask them to find out who that kid is. I must find him as soon as possible. After that, he rushed to the archaeology department's office building. This scene confused many people who were familiar with him. They wondered what was wrong with Professor Qi today. Why was he acting so crazy? Chapter 333. Tang Jing was not clear about Qi Shaoan's reaction. He, Li Xiaotian and the members of 502 were eating in the cafeteria when another group of people aggressively rushed over. Everyone in Yi Dingdong's dormitory, and Yi Dingdang took the lead, coming over aggressively. Who are these people? Why are they so murderous? Li Xiaotian asked the few of them with a smile as he drank a large cup of cola. Tang Jing, who is he? Li Fangfei replaced Dingdang and asked coldly. Tang Jing, who do you think I am to you? Li Xiaotian blinked and asked meaningfully. Yi Dingdang wrinkled her eyebrows, even though she knew that Tang Zheng's charm was not small, but for such a great beauty to suddenly appear by Tang Zheng's side made her feel a great sense of crisis. Don't spout nonsense, you're not anyone to me. Tang Zheng anxiously refuted, this black-bellied girl often dug holes. Looking at her current appearance, she must be up to no good. You heartless person, are you not going to admit what you've done? Li Xiaotian purposely pretended to be resentful and complained. Tang Zheng felt a headache coming on. This woman really did not have good intentions. She wanted to ignite Yi Dingdang, this powder keg. Unexpectedly, Yi Dingdang did not explode, and instead acted as if nothing had happened, and said, "Oh, I didn't know that you and my fiancé had such a good relationship." Fiancé? The others were dumbstruck. Even Li Fangfei, Zhou Yan and the others were no exception. They looked at the two of them with strange expressions. When did they become fiancé and wife? Li Xiaoan looked at Tang Jing thoughtfully, and thought to himself that men were indeed not good people. When he was in southern Yunnan, he was intimate with another girl, and now a fiancé appeared so quickly. If you don't give me the heaven-shocking bow, see how I'll ruin your good fortune. Fiancé, right? As far as I know, Tang Jing still has a girlfriend. Li Xiaotian said. Tang Jing even had the heart to kill someone. Li Xiaotian was really here to dig a hole, and had even dug such a deep hole. As expected, the others looked at Tang Jing with unfriendly gazes, especially Yi Dingdang's roommates. Now, in their hearts, they already had a fiancé like Yi Dingdang, who was as beautiful as a flower and jade, and dared to step on two boats. That was simply something worse. Yi Dingdang gave Tang Jing a deep look as she wondered how this woman knew about Fang Shishir. But now was not the time to be entangled in this matter. She gracefully held onto Tang Jing's arm and said intimately, I know more about him than you do. Tang Jing, let's go out for a walk. Tang Jing was eager to leave Li Xiaoyan. He hurriedly nodded his head and walked towards the cafeteria with Yi Dingdang. I'm full. I'm going for a walk too. Li Xiaoyan also stood up and walked on the other side of Tang Jing. One on the left and one on the right, under the attack of the two beauties, Tang Jing walked out with his head held high. The others were stunned. Sinosaurus straightened his chin that was about to fall to the ground, and said, That works too. Li Fangfei and the other two girls could not hide their surprise. They looked at each other and said, What's wrong with Dingdang? Could it be that the shock was too great, so it's abnormal? Yi Dingdang was naturally a normal person, but she could tell with a single glance that Tang Jing had nothing to do with this unfamiliar girl. She had known Tang Jing for so long, so she still had some understanding and trust in him. The three of them walked onto a tree-lined path. Yi Dingdang stopped in his tracks, stared straight at Li Xiaotian, and asked, Let's get straight to the point, what exactly are you trying to do? Seeing that Yi Dingdang was not a kind person and did not fall for her trick, Li Xiaotian said while beaming, As long as he returns what belongs to me, I will naturally not disturb the two of you. Yi Dingdang looked at Tang Jing as if he was asking, and Tang Jing immediately waved his hand. Don't listen to her nonsense. That thing has no owner, it's not yours. Why should I give it to you? Ha, you finally admitted that the heaven-shocking bow is in your hands. Li Xiaotian's eyes lit up as he pointed at Tang Jing and said, Who said it was in my hands? Tang Jing denied. Li Xiaoan did not mind. It doesn't matter if you don't admit it. Since we have a tacit understanding, I have a lot of time. From now on, I will accompany you every day until you return the heaven-shocking bow to me. Tang Jing said indifferently. All right, I don't have a place to stay yet. Accompany me to a hotel. Li Xiaotian said arrogantly. Yi Dingdang raised his eyebrows. This person actually asked Tang Jing to accompany her to a room in front of her. No matter how calm Yi Dingdang was, his lungs were about to explode from anger. Shut up, is there a girl as shameless as you? Yi Dingdang flipped out. Li Xiaoyan was not afraid of her, but instead provoked her with a smile that was not a smile. Yo, you finally flipped out. I thought you would be indifferent. What is shame? I don't understand. In order to obtain the heaven-shocking bow, I will do anything, and might even snatch him away from you, so you better advise him to return it to me quickly. Li Xiaoyan, if you don't shut up, you'll never be able to obtain the heaven-shocking bow. Tang Jing immediately berated loudly. Li Xiaoyan covered her small mouth and chuckled, a complacent and crafty light appearing in her eyes, and said, "It's just a few words. Why are you so angry? Let me tell you, I'm not interested in men, hee." With that, he waved his hand and walked away in a carefree manner. Not interested in men? Could it be that she was interested in women? She was a lesbian. Tang Zheng could not help but think of the situation in Li Palace. It was filled with women. Maybe the holy maiden of Li Palace really liked women. Who is she? Yi Dingdang asked jealously. Tang Zheng did not hide anything and said truthfully, "Holy maiden of Li Palace." Holy maiden of Li Palace? The Li Palace you're talking about is the Li Palace that's one of the 3 great organizations? Yi Dingdang was shocked. Ever since she had a conflict with the martial sect, she had also understood the relevant knowledge, so she was not unfamiliar with the name Li Palace. How did you get involved with the people from Li Palace? Yi Dingdang felt that he could not see through Tang Jing anymore. Tang Jing shook his head. "It's a long story. Anyway, she's a burden, she's relying on me, she wants me to give her the heaven-shocking bow." What's the heaven-shocking bow? Yi Dingdang was confused. A very powerful bow is very important to me, so it's impossible for me to give it to her. Furthermore, I risked my life to obtain this thing, so how can I give it to her? Back then, in the prehistoric heavenly tomb, he had also risked killing monks to snatch the heaven-shocking bow first. At that time, it was only out of revenge against Li Xiaotian that he discovered the mystical aspects of the heaven-shocking bow. The heaven-shocking bow had saved him from the gates of hell many times. It was one of the keys to his life. How could he give it to others? Yi Dingdang did not fully understand, but she understood one thing, and that was that Li Xiaoyan wanted to steal Tang Zheng's treasure. How preposterous. Why don't I send her away? Tang Jing stopped her. It's useless, we are not her match. She's that powerful? She's a pre-celestial martial artist. Furthermore, her identity is special, so there's no need to lower herself to her level. Since she wants to pester me, then let's see what tricks she can play. Yi Dingdang was helpless and said, "Then that's the only thing we can do." However, when she thought about how such a beauty was pestering Tang Jing all day, she felt very unhappy. She stared straight at Tang Jing and asked hesitantly, "You can't have fallen for her, right?" Tang Jing was stunned. Why would she think of this question? Like Li Xiaotian? Please, stop joking around. If I can't get rid of my relationship with her, who would like her? Seeing that Tang Jing was at a loss, Yi Dingdang knew that he was overthinking it and smiled shyly. "I was overthinking it. Doesn't she like women?" "Yes, don't let your imagination run wild. I came to tell you something. Jiangchuan Yuan Yi is dead, and he died in an alley not far from the school. However, this news was controlled by the school, and most people do not know about it. This person deserved to die. An island nation's people came to our country to show off." Tang Jing muttered to himself, and told Yi Dingdang what happened in the alley. Yi Dingdang turned pale with fright and exclaimed, "Why are there so many people involved in this matter? That woman called Marshall came again. Will your identity as a cultivator be exposed?" This was the biggest secret between the two. When Marshall chased after Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang in ordinary balance, Tang Zheng's identity as a cultivator was exposed. However, Yi Dingdang personally promised Tang Zheng that she would not reveal Tang Zheng's identity as a cultivator to anyone, including her parents. It hasn't been exposed for the time being, but Li Xiaotian is also clear about my identity as a cultivator. I'm just worried that she might reveal it to Marshall. Tang Jing said worriedly. Yi Dingdang shook her head. No, since she didn't announce this news earlier, there's no need for it now. Moreover, you still have the heaven-shocking bow that she wants. I hope so. Yi Dingdang looked at him in a daze and asked worriedly, Tang Zheng, all the powers are gathered in the capital, And there's even that demon god. You're too dangerous. Don't worry, I won't die. I'm a cat. My life is strong. Tang Zheng patted his chest and said fearlessly, "You're actually joking with me." Yi Dingdong's eyes blossomed with splendor. Ever since she had revealed her feelings to Tang Zheng had been deliberately avoiding her. It was only because she had taken the initiative to maintain this relationship. But just now, Tang Zheng's attitude was something that had never happened between the two of them, allowing Yi Dingdang to see hope. "What's wrong with me joking?" Yi Dingdang was extremely excited, his face beaming with joy. He shook his head. "Nothing. I'll be leaving first. I need to go back and tell my family about what happened in the alley." Yi Dingdang said as she ran away, but after a few steps, she turned around and ran back. In front of Tang Zheng's astonishment, her warm and soft lips kissed Tang Zheng's face, and then she ran away as if she was flying. Tang Zheng stared blankly at her figure that was like a cheerful lark shuttling through the trees, disappearing in the blink of an eye. He touched his cheeks as if he could still feel the warmth of her lips. What kind of situation was this? He was actually counterattacked by Yi Dingdang. Moreover, it was in broad daylight, and the chastity of his cheeks was taken away by her. Chapter 334. As night fell, Tang Zheng did not return to school. Instead, he quietly went to the five-star hotel alone, only to find that it was already empty. Sawada Ichiro had actually checked out, and no one knew where he went. Since he had already clashed with Sawada Ichiro, Tang Zheng naturally would not let him go. However, he did not expect the other party to be so cunning and actually slip away. It was probably because the demon god's influence on him was too great that he was so scared that he did not dare to show himself. Since that was the case, Tang Zheng had no choice but to wait for the next time he met the other party. He returned to Lu Qingmei's residence. As soon as the door opened, Lu Qingmei enthusiastically threw herself into his embrace and said, "You're finally back. I thought you wouldn't come today." Looking at her watery eyes, Tang Zheng pinched her chin and said, "How could I not come? I came over after I finished my business." "How's Long Tingyu?" Lu Qingmei asked worriedly. "Don't worry, he won't be able to jump up." Tang Zheng did not find out where Long Tingyu was, otherwise, he might have visited him again. Lu Qingmei heaved a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. I'm submitting my resume online today and looking for another job." "Aren't you going to rest for a few days?" Lu Qingmei is identical to, shook his head, and said, "Work is still interesting, it's boring to stay at home all day, but today is quite interesting with Xiao Bai accompanying me, it's very smart, as if it can understand what I'm saying." This little guy is quite smart, but his temper is also quite bad. Don't provoke him. Squeak squeak. Xiao Bai jumped over, unconvinced as it bared its teeth at Tang Zheng, as if it did not want him to ruin its reputation. "Hee, look at how interesting it is." Little White bounced off his hind legs and jumped onto Tang Zheng's shoulder. His claws scratched Tang Zheng's head, and not long later, his hair turned into a chicken's nest. "Stop fooling around." Tang Zheng slapped Xiao Bai on the shoulder. The little guy grimaced unhappily on the ground, causing Lu Qingmei to giggle incessantly. "This is a gift for you," Tang Zheng said as he took out a gift box. "What is it?" "Wow, Jade Buddha, jade bracelet, you gave it to me?" Lu Qingmei was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't that no boy had ever given her a gift before, but he had never been as happy as this. It must be very expensive. Looking at the crystal-clear color, Lu Qingmei asked, "You have to spend money to study. You can't spend money recklessly." She knew about Tang Zheng's family situation. Seeing that he had bought her such an expensive gift, she was very happy, but also a little distressed. "Don't worry, I still have the money to buy gifts. These two gifts can protect you. When you encounter a gangster, they can launch a counterattack." Tang Zheng introduced. These two jade articles were engraved with the spirit-controlling array. Now that his cultivation had greatly increased, the power of this array was naturally extraordinary. It was more powerful than the jade articles he had given out before. Moreover, the jade bracelet and the jade Buddha pendant were double insurance, which could completely guarantee Lu Qingmei's temporary safety. Lu Qingmei had encountered too many dangers, and Tang Jing could not bear to let her be in danger again. Is it really as magical as you? Why haven't I heard that jade articles have such a great effect? Lu Qingmei suspiciously asked. Others can't, but I can give you one. You just have to remember that these 2 jade articles must never leave your body. You have to wear them with you, do you understand? Okay, I will listen to you. You're so good to me. Lu Qingmei hooked her arms around Tang Jing and took the initiative to give him a kiss. Xiao Bai immediately covered his eyes with his claws, looking embarrassed. At the same time, the Ye family fell into an intense discussion. The news that Yi Dingdang brought back was too shocking. The demon god had actually come to the capital, and had even injured the martial organization's people. Furthermore, the Li Palace was also involved. It could be foreseen that in the near future, a terrifying storm would rise in the capital, and the Ye family would not be able to stay out of it. Of course, there was also a huge opportunity. If the Ye family handled it properly, they would obtain considerable benefits, and at least have the opportunity to improve their status in the family. Yi Xuanji sat in the armchair, muttering to himself. He glanced at the few descendants, and finally fixed his gaze on Yi Dingding. He never would have thought that the granddaughter that he did not care about would actually find a fiancé like Tang Jing, and become the most important character in this storm. Tang Jing actually had a close relationship with the Holy Maiden of the Li Palace. This news was too important. Although the great families were afraid of the 3 great organizations, if there was an opportunity to deepen their relationship, they would definitely not miss it. For example, everyone knew that the Yen family had a close relationship with the Li Palace, which was why the Yen family could sit firmly on the top of the 4 great families. It did not mean that they would always rely on the Li Palace, but at certain crucial moments, the Li Palace would give the Yen family a hand, which could completely tilt the scales in favor of the Yen family. This was the power of these 3 large organizations. However, these 3 large organizations were extremely mysterious. Only the Li Palace would occasionally meddle in the secular world. As for the other 2 large organizations, especially the Azure Dragon Hall, even the members of the large families had never seen anyone from the Azure Dragon Hall. They only knew that the Azure Dragon Hall was extremely powerful, completely surpassing the Li Palace and the martial organization. The Holy Maiden of the Li Palace was the next palace master of the Li Palace. Since the relationship between Tang Zheng and the Holy Maiden of the Li Palace was not shallow, if the Holy Maiden of the Li Palace was in power in the future, then the Ye family would be able to benefit from the Li Palace. With this relationship, the Ye family could far surpass the Song and Chu families, keeping pace with the Yen family, and even squeeze the Yen family out of the top position. Yi Xuanji could not help but be moved. The others also gradually understood this point, especially Yi Ku. Although his face was calm, his heart had set off stormy waves. He was the eldest son of the Ye family's 3rd generation, and the only male child. In the future, he was very likely to inherit the Ye family's huge family business. But now that Yi Tianlei had returned to the Ye family, and halfway through, there was also Tang Jing, this anomaly, which made him feel a sense of crisis. The first time he saw Tang Jing, he felt that the other party was extraordinary. Although it was just a hurried glance, it left a deep impression on him. Especially after hearing about what happened in Longxiang Mountain, he paid special attention to Tang Zheng. If Tang Zheng crossed the threshold of the Ye family, then his position would be in jeopardy, and his father's position would also be in jeopardy. It must be known that his father was the only heir of the Ye family, but now there was Yi Tianlei, and the other party had the help of Tang Jing, like a tiger that had grown wings. It seems that I must ask father to return home quickly. Teacher staying abroad to explore the international market is not a good thing. Yi Ku silently made up her mind. This demon god is not a good person. Wu suffered a big loss in his hands. The other people of Wu Zong will definitely come to the capital to support. Pass down the order. If Wu Zong comes, we must investigate who came to the capital. In addition, we must ensure the safety of Tang Zheng by all means. This is the most important task of the Ye family. Yi Xuanji said in a deep voice. Yi Dingdang raised her eyebrows and smiled. She had been worried about the safety of Tang Zheng. Now, with the promise of the old man, Tang Zheng's safety increased by a few points. Old man, I will go to Yenqing University to protect the safety of the little handsome brother. Feng Xinyang took the initiative to volunteer. Yi Xuanji nodded in agreement. Father, I heard that the kid from Dianan's Long family seemed to have suffered a big loss in the capital last night. He was thrown down from a 10-story building and fell half to death. Yi Tianlei said. Yi Xuanji disdainfully snorted and said, Long Xianyuan has a son, and spoiled this Long Tingyu. This Long Tingyu is not much different from Chu Xiaofeng. He is just a standard playboy. Don't worry about it. If someone can take care of him, it's his own bad luck. He looked up at Yi Ku and praised her. Little Ku, you are much more sensible than those two dandy. People should look up to the excellent, not learn from some ado who can't be supported. The so-called 4 young masters of the capital actually included a do like Chu Xiaofeng. What a big joke. Yi Ku smiled faintly and said, Grandfather is right, but recently I heard an interesting news. It is said that after the Battle of Longxiang Mountain, the Chu family lost a lot of face, and Chu Xiaofeng was even grounded, so the busybodies elected a new 4 young masters of the capital. Chu Xiaofeng was not among them, but Ding Dong's fiancé, Tang Jing, replaced him and became one of the new 4 young masters of the capital. Yi Xuanji said curiously, these busybodies are thinking about these useless things all day long. However, this also shows that Tang Zheng's appearance is indeed very successful. Fortunately, such a newcomer is a member of our Ye family. Yi Dingdang heard this and was secretly happy. Although this was just a false reputation, at least it meant that her fiancé was accepted and respected. At this moment, Long Tingyu was with Sawada Ichiro. Both of them could not hide the shock on their faces, especially when Long Tingyu heard about the demon god. He occasionally heard his father, Long Xianyuan, mention the cultivators. Therefore, he was very sensitive to this special group of people and was quite afraid of them. This time, Sawada Ichiro actually provoked a cultivator. Thinking of the various methods of the cultivators in the legends, he shuddered and immediately asked to leave the capital. He did not even care about his body. This was the first time Sawada Ichiro heard about the cultivators. He was also very surprised and said indignantly, Young Master Long, did my disciple die in vain? And that Tang Jing, is he still not dead? Long Tingyu could not help but roll his eyes at him. Your martial arts are high, but why are you so stupid? Is it necessary to wade into this muddy water for a dead person? Mr. Sawada Ichiro, since Tang Zheng is involved with the cultivators, and is also the target of the cultivators, we don't need to do anything. The cultivators will take his life. We have to leave this place as soon as possible. Go to Dianan, go to my house. As long as we return to Dianan, no one will be able to threaten us. Long Tingyu advised earnestly. Sawada Ichiro muttered to himself in silence, thinking that Yamamoto had also gone to the south before disappearing, and the Long family was powerful in Dianan. Why not borrow the Long family's help to investigate their whereabouts? Chapter 335. A black shadow walked out from the door. This person was as silent as a ghost. It was unknown how long he had been hiding here. Who are you? Get out. Long Tingyu was furious and flew into a rage. Ichiro Sawada looked as if he had seen a ghost. His entire body trembled as he pulled out his katana and said warily, How did you find this place? You know him. Who is he? Long Tingyu asked curiously. Ichiro Sawada's face was ashen. Previously, he was not afraid of the other party, but ever since Long Tingyu told him about the various mystical methods of cultivators, he was truly frightened. It turned out that there was such a group of extraordinary people in this world. He is the demon god, the cultivator you are talking about, Ichiro Sawada said in fear. Cultivator? If Long Tingyu was not heavily injured, he would definitely be scared to the point of running away. He looked at the demon god in fear and asked, Eve, what are you going to do? Let me tell you, I am the young master of the Long family in Dianan. If you kill me, my father will not let you go. The demon god glanced at him disdainfully and said, Warriors, when the demon clan arrives, all of you will die. The arrival of the demon clan? I did want to kill you just now, but after listening to your conversation, I don't want to kill you anymore. I think I can take in a few servants to do a lot of things for me, huh? The demon god laughed sinisterly. Neither of them could figure out what he meant. They hurriedly asked, "What do you mean?" "I will take the two of you as my slaves. When the demon clan arrives, you will not die. Furthermore, you will be able to obtain many benefits. Be your servant." Long Tingyu and Ichiro Sawada were furious. The two of them could be considered as people above others, but this demon god actually dared to say that he wanted to take them as his slaves. It was simply wishful thinking. In your dreams, scram back to where the F*CK came from. Long Tingyu did not care about his fear and cursed loudly. The demon god's eyes flashed red as he said, "Looks like I still need to spend some effort." With that, he raised his finger, and a strange power spread out. Long Tingyu realized that he was bound by a mysterious power, and then his body slowly rose into the air. "What are you doing?" Long Tingyu shouted in panic. "Quickly put me down, what did you do to me? If I want to pinch you to death, it would be as easy as pinching an ant. You still dare to challenge me?" The demon god said with a murderous look. Seeing this, Sawada Ichiro was scared out of his wits. Suddenly, he clenched his teeth and swung his katana at the demon god. However, he found that his legs were wandering in the same place. His eyes almost popped out of their sockets. What was going on? The demon god had not even come into contact with him, so why had he fallen into such a desperate situation? The fiend celestial sneered. "This is an array formation. Do you think you can escape? Drawing a circle and imprisoning it?" Sawada Ichiro was confused. Although this was the first time he had heard of this formation, he had personally experienced the horror of this formation. The fear in his heart grew even stronger. He originally had some thoughts of resistance, but now he didn't even dare to nod his head. If the demon god wanted to kill him, it would be as easy as flipping his hand. If he did not submit, then he would die. Although Sawada Ichiro had a prominent position in the country, the people of this country were famous for bullying the weak and fearing the strong. The more tyrannical you were, the more afraid he would be, and the more he would worship you. If you were friendly to him, he would constantly go against you. Without a doubt, the strength displayed by the demon god was something that Sawada Ichiro could not contend against. In order to save his life, he chose to submit. With a plop, he knelt in front of the demon god and shouted, "Master!" The demon god laughed complacently. "Smart man, I guarantee that after the demon clan descends, you will receive enough benefits." "Thank you, master." Sawada Ichiro crawled on the ground. In fact, it was not as easy as it seemed for the demon god to cast the circle prison array formation. He had hidden outside the door and secretly cast the array formation. The two people in the room did not notice it at all. If they had escaped back then, the circle prison array formation might not have been able to trap them. The demon god looked at Long Tingyu again. Long Tingyu was already in the air, waving his arms and screaming in panic. "How is it? Have you thought of an answer?" The demon god walked in front of Long Tingyu and asked. Long Tingyu was really scared out of his wits, and hurriedly nodded his head. "I promise you, master, from now on, you are my master, I will listen to you." The demon god smiled and nodded in satisfaction. "That's right, a wise man submits to circumstances. However, I don't trust others the most. Only when I have the initiative in my hands will I be at ease." As soon as he finished speaking, two red lights shot out from his hands and entered the space between Long Tingyu and Sawada Ichiro's eyebrows. The two of them turned pale with fright and shouted, "What are you doing? How do I know if you are sincere in being my servants? But now, it doesn't matter whether you are sincere or not. I have already planted the soul-devouring seal on your bodies. Other than me, no one else in this world can undo it. If the sect betrays me and dares to harm me, your souls will vanish into thin air with just a thought." The two of them felt as if they had fallen into an ice cave and shivered. It was too vicious. This simply did not leave them any way out. Even if the two of them were dissatisfied or had other thoughts, they did not have the slightest thought of resisting. "Don't worry, As long as you don't have second thoughts, the soul-devouring seal will not deal with you. As long as you are obedient, everything will be fine. Long Tingyu and Sawada Ichiro glanced at each other at the same time, then scrambled to say, "Master, we will definitely not have second thoughts. We will definitely be loyal to Master." The demon god nodded in satisfaction. "Then let's leave the capital and go to Dianan. I still have very important things to do, so I can't delay." The next morning, Tang Jing reluctantly left Lu Qingmei's apartment. After tossing and turning for most of last night, Lu Qingmei's fighting strength was completely released. She was even more ferocious than Fang Shishir and almost squeezed Tang Jing dry. Early in the morning, he saw Xiao Bai's listless appearance. This little guy had been listening to the wall all night and did not sleep well at all. From time to time, he would look at Tang Jing with resentment in his eyes, mixed with a trace of contempt. Tang Jing chose to ignore it and did not take Xiao Bai away. Instead, he stayed by Lu Qingmei's side to protect her. When he arrived at the school gate, an off-road vehicle stopped in front of him. The window rolled down and a warm voice sounded, "Little handsome, we meet again. Get in the car." "Hey, Aunt Feng, why are you here?" Tang Jing got in the car and asked curiously. He found that Yi Dingdang was also in the car. "Ha, I came to protect you. You're so capable, you even have a relationship with the Holy Maiden of Li Palace." Feng Xinyang said meaningfully, and intentionally or unintentionally glanced at Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang couldn't help but recall the long talk between the mother and daughter last night. No one knew her daughter better than her mother. Although Feng Xinyang was usually careless and did not care about trifles, in fact, she also had a woman's innate meticulousness in her heart. From Yi Dingdang's description, she heard Yi Dingdang's concern about the relationship between Tang Jing and Li Xiaotian. Although the two were now incompatible, the relationship between men and women was hard to say. Didn't Yi Dingdang also have a lot of conflicts with Tang Jing in the past? When Feng Xinyang heard her daughter's concerns, she formulated a detailed plan for her. That plan was to not show jealousy in front of Tang Jing. That was something only a foolish woman would do. An outstanding man like Tang Jing would definitely not lack women by his side. The facts also prove this point, so the only thing she could do was to not act like a jealous woman. Instead, she had to appear magnanimous. Most importantly, she had to show her own value. Now that Tang Jing was facing a huge threat, accompanying him and sharing his joys and sorrows was her greatest value. Men valued this kind of experience the most and would also respect women who shared joys and sorrows. Gradually, she would be able to open Tang Jing's heart. When Yi Dingdang heard Feng Xinyang's plan, she felt as if she had awoken from a dream and secretly made up her mind. Therefore, when she saw Tang Jing get on the car, she immediately threw him a brilliant smile. Tang Jing was startled. This smile was so strange, he couldn't help but recall Yi Dingdang's kiss yesterday. His expression became somewhat awkward. He hurriedly used his words to cover up his awkwardness and said, "Aunt Feng, you came to protect me? This is making a mountain out of a molehill." "Hee, this is not making a mountain out of a molehill, this is the old man's order. Furthermore, the demon god has already appeared in the capital. We speculate that there will definitely be people from the martial sect coming to the capital. Last time, you also know about the ordinary balance matter. This martial sect is definitely not a mediocre person. This time, the other party will definitely send out a big shot. We have to be careful." Feng Xinyang explained. Tang Jing's head sank. The martial sect was after all a huge problem for him. Furthermore, last time in the valley, Wu had recognized the jade pendant that was related to the mystery of his birth. He did not find out the reason, or perhaps deep down in his heart, he did not want to know his birth. He was a little troubled, shook his head, and threw these complicated thoughts to the back of his mind and said, "We will try our best to be as careful as possible. As long as there are no accidents, Wu will not recover his memories, and for the time being, we will not be anxious about the matter of the ordinary balance, then we will be safe." "I hope so. Little handsome, I will live near the school for the next few days. If anything happens, call me at any time." "Thank you, Aunt Feng. Aunt Feng, I'm here. I'll go to class first," Tang Jing said as the off-road car arrived in front of the teaching building. "Feng Xinyang, I'm going to class too." "All right." Feng Xinyang smiled as she watched the two of them get off the car and exclaimed, "Truly a talented man, a match made in heaven. This girl is finally enlightened. Little handsome can't run away. Who dares to steal my daughter's man? I, Feng Xinyang, will definitely not allow it." With that, he stepped on the gas pedal and left. "Lao San, you're finally here. Something big has happened. The instructor was looking for you yesterday, and even the instructor knew that you didn't return home at all. It said that the instructor was very angry and said that you didn't put the school's discipline in your eyes at all." Zhou Yan and the others stopped Tang Zheng and said anxiously, "That's right, why is your phone turned off as well? It's out of battery." Tang Zheng did not have a clear impression of the instructor. He only remembered that he was a man in his 30s with a straight face. "Why is he looking for me?" Chapter 336. When Tang Zheng arrived at the School of Archaeology's office building, he happened to see the counselor Yan Liang striding out. Suddenly, Yan Liang saw Tang Zheng and immediately flew into a rage. "Tang Zheng, what exactly did you do? Not returning home at night, do you still have school rules in your eyes?" Tang Zheng remembered that the school did not stop students from staying outside the school, and there were even people who rented rooms outside the school. After all, they were all adults, so the management in this area was very loose. Seeing him so angry, Tang Zheng calmly said, "Counselor, why are you looking for me?" "Don't interrupt, I haven't finished speaking yet. How can you be like this? Are you still a student?" Yan Liang waved his hand and endlessly roared. Tang Zheng frowned. "I didn't make any big mistakes. Is there a need to make such a big fuss over a small issue?" "You're still not convinced, right?" Seeing Tang Zheng's displeased expression, Yan Liang's voice suddenly rose a few notches. "Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of students like you. Once you enter university, you don't study hard and only know how to have fun. Let me tell you, that's the style of a student from a third-rate university, and this is Yenqing University. Everything has to be done according to the rules. I'm your counselor, so you have to follow my rules, or else you can pack up and scram." Tang Zheng's face had already darkened. Did this person eat gunpowder? Unreasonable. Seeing that the other party was still going to scold him and endlessly scolding him, Tang Zheng turned around and left. He was too lazy to talk nonsense with this kind of person. Yan Liang had not finished scolding him, but seeing Tang Zheng turn around and leave, he could not help but become even angrier. He quickly stopped him and roared, "What are you doing? The teacher said a few words to you, but you don't want to listen and you still want to run? What kind of attitude is this?" He spoke non-stop like a machine gun, his saliva splattering everywhere. Tang Zheng took a step back to avoid his saliva. Tang Zheng finally understood why Wang Shiji would say that the counselor had a bad temper. However, he did not provoke him, so was there a need to pursue him so relentlessly? Was this still the quality of a university counselor? "If you respect me, I will respect you back." Since he had such an attitude, Tang Zheng was even more annoyed. He said coldly, "I have no obligation to listen to your nonsense. You dare to scold me? When did I scold you?" "Just now, all right, Tang Zheng, there are a lot of rumors about you. What number one fierce person in the archaeology department? I think it's bullshit. This is simply a disgrace to the archaeology department. During the military training, so many people from the archaeology department went to the military to train, but only one of them did not receive any rewards. Do you think you are deliberately smearing the reputation of the archaeology department?" Yan Liang asked loudly. Tang Zheng's heart moved. So this was the crux of the matter. Yan Liang was holding a grudge because of this matter. Back then, 5 people from the archaeology department had been chosen as outstanding representatives to participate in the military training, and only Tang Zheng had not been rewarded in the end. Tang Zheng smiled disdainfully and said, "You're unreasonable." Just as the instructor was about to curse, his phone rang. Looking at the caller ID, he immediately changed to a smile and said, "Principal, you're looking for me? Did you find him?" I found him. I'll bring him to you right now. This Tang Zheng is too outrageous. I must properly criticize him." Yan Liang said. "Hurry up and bring him to my office." "Yes, I'll be right there." Yan Liang hung up the phone, only to discover that Tang Jing had already walked far away. He flew into a rage and said, "Tang Jing, who told you to leave? Hurry up and come back." Tang Jing turned a deaf ear to him and walked forward with large strides. Yan Liang froze for a moment as he gasped for breath. In the past, when he lectured his students would not dare to talk back to him, but this time he discovered that Tang Jing was not afraid of him at all. He felt that his dignity was being challenged. He quickly ran up and kicked Tang Jing's calf, saying, "I told you to run. Let's see where you can run to." Tang Jing's eyes flashed with a cold light as he dodged to the side. He then grabbed onto his opponent's shoulder and threw him over his shoulder. Yan Liang was fiercely thrown onto the concrete floor. A scream rang out as Yan Liang lay on the ground. The passers-by all revealed a look of shock as they looked at Tang Jing in disbelief. Tang Jing acted as if nothing had happened and walked away. Yan Liang crawled up in a sorry state and roared, "Tang Jing, I'm going to expel you. Since you've offended me, don't even think about staying in Yenching University." Tang Jing stopped and said in disdain, "You don't have the qualifications." "Then I'll let you see if I have the qualifications." Yan Liang thought to himself, "I've been in this school for so many years, but there has never been a student who dared to disobey me like this. I have countless ways to get rid of you." "Tang Jing, where do you think you're going?" Suddenly, someone excitedly blocked Tang Jing's path. Tang Jing glanced over and saw that it was Qi Shaon. "I've been looking for you all day." The heavens do not disappoint those who persevere. "I finally found you." Tang Jing looked at him in surprise and asked, "Why are you looking for me?" "Ha, of course it's something good. Come on, let's go to my office." Qi Shaowen dragged Tang Jing to the school's office building. "Tang Jing, are you scared now? Let me tell you, it's too late to kowtow and apologize now. Don't even think about staying in this school." Yan Liang said arrogantly, not noticing that Qi Shaowen was behind Tang Jing. When Qi Shaowen walked out, Yan Liang felt as if someone had grabbed him by the neck. He gaped and said in surprise, "Professor Qi, why are you here? What are you doing?" Qi Shaowen asked sternly. "I'm educating a student. This Tang Jing is not obedient at all. How can you educate a student like this? What do you mean by kowtowing and apologizing? Don't even think about staying in this school? Do you have the final say in this school?" Qi Shaowen asked sternly. Yan Liang was stunned. He did not know why Qi Shaowen was so angry. Qi Shaowen was the treasurer of the archaeology department. Yan Liang did not dare to challenge his authority. He hurriedly said, "Professor Qi, you've misunderstood. That's not what I meant. This Tang Jing is being disobedient. The dean has been looking for him, but he ignored him." Qi Shaowen looked at Tang Jing in surprise and said, "He's got character. I like it." Tang Jing was stunned. This old man was really unexpected. He could not believe that he would say something like that. People should have character. If you're always at my beck and call, that means you don't have a mind of your own. Moreover, if you're a scholar, you should focus on your studies. You can just ignore everything else, Qi Shaowen continued. Yan Liang wondered if there was something wrong with his ears. Professor Qi was actually defending Tang Jing. "Professor Qi, you can't spoil a student like this. Otherwise, there'll be big problems. Besides, he doesn't even listen to the dean. That's outrageous." "What big problems? I think you're the one who's in big trouble. You were yelling and screaming just now. Where's your manners? Is this how a counselor should behave? All right, tell the dean that I found him. I won't be looking for him anymore," said Qi Shaowen. Yan Liang was shocked. "Professor Qi, you're looking for him? Did he cause trouble in your class? What are you talking about? Nonsense? Go away," said Qi Shaowen impatiently. He dragged Tang Jing toward the office building. Tang Jing did not move. He asked, "Professor Qi, why are you looking for me? Let's talk here. I have a class later." "What class is more important than this? Don't go to class. Let me tell you, I'm looking for you because I have good news for you. I want you to be my disciple. You'll follow me from now on. I'm going to teach you everything I know. You'll have a master's degree and PhD degree." Yan Liang almost bit off his own tongue. Was this real? He twisted his arm hard. It hurt. It was real. Qi Shaoan, who had never taught graduate students or PhD students, wanted to take Tang Zheng as his disciple. This was unprecedented. What did this kid have that made Qi Shaoan think so highly of him? Tang Zheng was also in disbelief. He asked, "Professor Qi, are you kidding me?" "Who's kidding? I'm talking to you very seriously." Qi Shaoan's face was serious. "You were right about the Twinkle Gem Pagoda yesterday. It's authentic. Your intuition is 100% accurate." Although Qi Shaoan had never heard of such a skill, the truth was right in front of him. He had to believe it. In the end, he decided that Tang Zheng was a genius in archaeology. This was a talent that no one else had. He should not waste this talent. Tang Zheng did not know why Qi Shaoan had overturned his own judgment. However, to hear Qi Shaoan admit his mistake was rare and valuable for a long-established professor. He could not help but have a good impression of Qi Shaoan. Although this old man was stubborn and serious at times, he was also very adorable at other times. "Professor Qi, thank you for your appreciation. However, I'm really not interested in pursuing a master's degree." Tang Zheng only went to university to experience the university life. He had no desire to further his studies. "How can you waste this talent?" No, this is a waste of God's gift. You must continue your studies." Qi Shaoan grabbed Tang Zheng's arm and refused to let him go. He was so excited that he could not speak coherently. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. Yan Liang was even more surprised. Countless people wanted to be Qi Shaoan's apprentice, but he was stubborn and refused. This time, Qi Shaoan took the initiative to ask him to be his apprentice, but Tang Zheng refused. Did the sun rise from the west? However, Yan Liang was secretly delighted. This idiot rejected such a good opportunity. He was right to reject it. If he really became Qi Shaoan's disciple, he would definitely take revenge on me. Yes, I must make sure this matter is ruined. Yan Liang coughed and said, "Professor Qi, since he doesn't know what's good for him, let's just forget about it. Yenqing University may not have many things, but there are plenty of studious students. Just find another one." Qi Shaoan glared at Yan Liang and reprimanded, "What do you know? I've been waiting for decades for such a good seedling. How can I let him go just like that? Don't speak if you don't know anything. No one will treat you as a mute." Yan Liang's face instantly turned the color of pig liver. He remained silent, embarrassed. After a pause, Qi Shaoan looked at Tang Zheng and said, "Tang Zheng, you're the one who raised the conditions. What will it take for you to agree to be my apprentice?" You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.